What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Mayrand podcast. Today, my guest is Luca Harrington. Luca is a pro skier, X Games gold medalist, Olympic medalist, and currently one of the most dominant comp skier in the world. In this episode, we talked about Luca's upbringing in New Zealand and how he got into skiing. We talked about his inspirations from past legends from New Zealand and what's in the water over there creating so many pro skiers. We went deep into his meteoric rise within the competition scene in the past 2 years. What started with back to back World Cup wins in Kreischberg and Klagenfurt started a run of 8 World Cup podiums, 4 X Games medals, 1 Crystal Globe, and 1 Olympic medal. We talked about the intricacies of slopestyle and big air comp skiing, as well as the judging behind all of it. We also talked about this year's Milano Cortina Olympics and the accomplishment and disappointment that came with it for him. This was a great talk with Luca, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks to the sponsors again, Access Board Shop and Decan's Restaurant. And shout out to the patrons on Patreon. Let's go. Mr. Luca Harrington, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Stoked to be on with you.
Stoked to link with you. We've been messaging for a while. I think we both agreed that maybe waiting until after the Olympics would be a good timing to have a bunch of stuff to talk about. So I'm stoked to link up, and also congrats on epic Olympic Games that you just had.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of past months, but yeah, stoked. It's all kind of settling down now.
Yeah, man. I was looking back at your whole breakthrough that you've had because you've been on the comp circuit for years. Like your first World Cup was in 2020. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of comps and of results leading up to where I guess you had your breakout year last year. But since the past year or so, you've been on a nonstop comp streak and result streak. How are you feeling now? We're early March now that the dust is kind of settling a bit.
yeah. It's funny, it's pretty easy to get caught up in the comp world. Like you put your heart and soul into it. You're training for every comp, and if you're not competing, you're training for the next event. So it's like you it's definitely easy to get lost in that and kind of miss the times of just going out and skiing with your buddies or going free riding or doing other stuff. So I kind of had that realization a little bit after the Olympics, and I'm stoked to finally be finding my love and passion for just what skiing is again, not having to go out and just do double and triple corks all the time and just, enjoying every single day out there.
Yeah, because you just told me off the air right before we started, you're done with the comp season right now. You're taking it off for the last 2 World Cups of this season. Is that more of you being burnt out a bit of the comp scene, or is it more, okay, I did my job and now I just want to focus on other stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of both. As I said, like I've been doing these comps back to back to back for the past 2, 3 years now, making that huge Olympic push to try to qualify. And then, I've achieved so many of my dreams and so many of my goals over these past few years. And, after the Olympics, I kind of had a bit of a come down and I was like looking at it and I was like, I know I'm going to be back on the World Cup tour the next few years going for another Olympic push. And I was like, I think this is a really cool time for me to just take a step back and, go and do some other opportunities and just take a break from the comp circuit because, it pushes out until end of March and you miss out on so much
Hmm.
time to yourself to just go and ski. And my team from New Zealand was all done after the Olympics anyway, so it would have been all solo. And I'm pretty stoked with my decision. I'm happy to be just out doing other stuff and being relaxed a bit more.
You mentioned something interesting, which I think is something really central to your generation, which is you said going for another Olympic push in 4 years. It feels like that's something really in your guys' mindset these days is more looking at it in terms of 4 years, like everything leading up to another like culmination in 4 years
Right.
versus maybe X amount of years ago where it was just like, well, year by year, do I want to compete this year or not? Do I,
Yeah.
Do you think that adds pressure for you guys to think of it in such a, you know, long-sighted term rather than just seeing year by year? Or
I mean, maybe for some people.
yeah.
I don't find that for myself. I think I still have another goal to do that I wanna go and push, until the Olympics, but I mean, that's kinda the Olympics is always, like, a time where some people will decide to step back from competing.
Mm.
So, I think I'm looking at it in kinda that perspective, and then, of course, like, I'm excited for the whole journey for each year, for every opportunity that comes with it, but I think, like, after the next Olympics is when I'll kinda relook at whether I wanna, move to the film world or whether I wanna continue to compete and, follow the World Cup tour and do comps and stuff like that.
I think the formula, I've said it often, if you look at some of the best seasons ever had from a Henrik or a ABM or a Hall, you got to do both.
Yeah,
That's what that feels like. That's when everything clicks. Like you have a Hall doing a street trip, and then oh, he wins a World Cup. There's something magical that happens when you do both.
right, exactly.
That I feel like that's just something that always that clicked into my mind recently, which is feels like the big event leading up to the big event every year was X Games.
Right.
So it was like a cyclical thing every year, which has now there's a hustle to get to the Olympics in 4 years. So there's injury management, there's comp management, there's, stress and energy, there's qualifying for your team and all that. But also it feels like you got to a status in the past year where I feel like it must be different for you now because you've had so many back-to-back results that now it has to be different where you kind of know you're in the top echelon, which you've got your points, you've got your safety with the team, you've got your safety with sponsors, so now the outlook must be different.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still think X Games is the pinnacle event each year. That is the event everyone dreams of going to and dreams of being able to compete in. And, I've been very fortunate enough to go the past 2 years, but, um, I kinda miss the days where they had qualifiers and, more athletes who are getting to be invited to that. But it does make the X Games so prestigious, it only being, top 8, 10 guys that get to go. But yeah, it definitely does give a little bit of a different perspective and pressure to, like, your career in skiing, having, like, the Olympics as, like, the pinnacle event, but, I mean, there's always, like, every 2 years, we got the world champs as well, which is another big pinnacle event, so there's always little peaks throughout the season that you're looking at.
What's the perspective within the athlete right now about world champs? Because I remember a time, maybe it was 10 years ago, where they they did it at the same time as X Games, and then you had all the big dogs that were like, "Well, we're not going." So it was like a weird world champs where, the top 10 in the world. I don't have the exact numbers, but the big guys weren't there. They
Right.
just said, "Yeah, if you want us to choose, it'll be X Games." But I feel like they learned their lesson, and now you don't double book with X Games. But
Yeah.
how is it seen? Are you guys more hyped, or is it more like just the federations that put energy in that? What's the outlook?
Yeah, definitely, I think it's more the federations, like, I think the athletes would be on that same exact page. If it were between X Games and World Champs, um, I think most of us would still choose X Games.
Yeah.
It's just, X Games is run so different to FIS. There's so much more there for the athletes, and I find that, World Champs, as cool as it is, and, it's the World Champs and whatever, it's really just another FIS World Cup, you know? X Games is like, it's a crazy week. You have concerts going on, you have, like, a crazy course built by athletes, and there's just so much more energy and love around the X Games.
Yeah. So aside from the status that is world champs versus the other World Cups, it's pretty much the same. The organization, the course, everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's all just run by FIS. It's the same stuff, just, different branding.
Luca Harrington from New Zealand, coming from the great land of New Zealand, with so many legends that came up from there. what's the what's the backstory of how you got into skiing? Because there's something in the water over there.
Yeah. So, how I got into skiing was actually through my parents, more my dad. He used to be a professional mogul skier back in his day.
Nice.
Did moguls, ballet, and aerials. Yeah, real deal. And he's originally from New Hampshire, uh,
Okay.
and my mom is originally from New York. And so those two got into skiing. And then once my dad was kind of done with his, professional side of things, like competing and stuff, he became a coach. He started doing his own mogul camps, and he would bring his team down to New Zealand because it's Southern Hemisphere, so summer training. Um, and he and my mom really fell in love with the place. Um, and at the time, they were looking at buying a house. They were living in Tahoe at the time, but they got way outpriced out there. So ended up buying a piece of land in New Zealand and building a lodge to run their mogul camps. And then they yeah, started a family with me and my brother.
Damn, that's crazy. I didn't know. So you have like your American passport, I guess.
Exactly, yeah, dual citizen. But
Okay, I didn't know that.
we yeah, born and raised down in Wanaka, New Zealand. Um, and yeah, I grew up just free skiing. My dad got us on snow really young. Um, we learned how to ski at my home mountain Treble Cone. It's just a epic free ride resort. Um, and then just grew up, skiing the mountain. And then all of a sudden, he's got two little kids shredding around, just trying to jump off every little side hit or bump they could find. So he then brought us over to Cadrona and got us into the park, and
So
started.
it's your dad that got you into the park?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
That's rare.
he just knew that, we loved catching air. So he's like, oh, well, we'll go over to Cadrona and, go to the mini park and hit some jumps. And then, when I was like 5, 6 years old, we were doing this, like, it was called the Calcium Kids Cup. It was like this little chocolate milk sponsored event. And it was, two tiny little jumps in like a little flat down box. And we'd just, would do that every year. And then, as we got older, we kept competing and we had the junior nationals every year. And, and yeah, that's kind of where it all started.
That's crazy, the whole American thing.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So that's why your brother is living in Colorado and you both are often in the States.
exactly. It's easy for us.
Yeah. Was there ever a thought of representing the US instead of New Zealand?
Not for a long time, until maybe last year or the year before. More in the fact that, New Zealand is a very small country, and we don't get a lot of funding to support our winter team, where the US team, like, as you probably know, like, once you're on the pro team, all your expenses are covered, and it saves you a lot of money. So, we spend a lot of money to pay the New Zealand team to be on tour and to do what we love. So, I mean, that was one reason I was looking at considering to switch. But, I love New Zealand, and I wanna always represent them because, I'm very passionate about being a Kiwi, and I'm very grateful for everything I've had, the lifestyle I've had growing up in Wanaka, in such a beautiful place. So I don't know if I'll ever make the switch, but yeah.
And now it's time for a first sponsor break. Access Board Shop has been dedicated to free skiing since its inception in 2002. At a time when some people and brands were still looking down on free skiing, Access believed in it fully. After 20 years of supporting athletes, movies, competitions, events, and so much more, Access is still going strong. Above all, Access is a ski shop where you'll find everything you need for skiing, snowboarding, or skateboarding. Check them out in store in Saint-Sauveur or online at accessboutique.com. Support companies who support skiing, support Access Board Shop. It's an interesting thing once you understand that, sure, there's where you were born and there's the national pride and, representing where you grew up, but there's also such a federation thing, as you said, with funding and with different variables where once you look at many athletes competing, they're not representing where they grew up. They're like, you have Gus, who's American but representing Great Britain.
Yeah.
Same thing for Zoe Atkin. Why, I'm pretty sure she's from the US, right?
Yeah.
There's Eileen with China, and uh there's a lot of stuff where it almost feels at some point like some teams drafting you, coming to get a player and saying, okay, we'll offer you this and that, and it's a whole business in itself, it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's not too much drafting thing from other teams aside from in probably Eileen's case,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean it's an expensive sport, and you got to do what's going to be financially best for you sometimes.
yeah. They had a big story in Canada leading up to the Olympics with Dylan Deschamps about that whole side of where freestyle skiing isn't really known in Canada. It's a pretty small sport,
Yeah,
and just informing people about Dylan's path and how expensive it is to make it where he is.
of course.
Whereas you have to do the local comps, but let's say in Canada, once you're on the national level, it's a big country, so traveling from one comp to another is expensive. And then you get on the NORAMs. NORAMs are expensive. And that whole path is like, how once you get into those elite levels of this sport, you gotta be ready to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How was it for you? Because um, from New Zealand, you're kind of, you know, maybe tell me if I'm wrong, but it feels like to go up on the comp circuit these days, it's either the Euro Cups in Europe or the NORAM in North America.
Yeah,
There's also the similar level Continental Cups in South America and in your side of the globe.
yeah,
But it feels to me as if where people want to head up is either the Euro Cup or the NORAMs.
right.
But then if you're on the other side of the world with another season and everything, what's the strategy to handle it financially or maybe strategically to say, okay, I need to get that amount of points to get, there's a whole chess game going on when you want to make it, right? Aside from just, I need to have my level of skiing on a certain level, there's a chess game going on.
Right. Well, that's another thing I've been very fortunate with, being from New Zealand is most of these athletes doing the Europa Cup tour and the Continental Cups and the NORAMs is they have to be on tour, they have to be getting points, they have to do the smaller events to qualify to get into that, where being from New Zealand and being international on those doing those events, they have allocated spots
Hmm.
for international athletes.
Mm,
So every time I went to a Rev Tour, I got in because I'm from
mm,
New Zealand and they had like international spots sitting there and waiting. So I didn't actually have to go through the qualifying process to just to be eligible to compete. So yeah, I was very fortunate there. And then it was the same with World Cup, being from New Zealand, there's not many of us. And each country gets a personal, like a country spot to be at the World Cups. And then, once you have a couple guys ranked high enough, you get an extra spot for the country.
yeah.
And so I got a lot of opportunity when I was a younger kid to go and experience these World Cups, even though I wasn't anybody. I was just a little speck out there and, just trying to do my best run and whatever. Like I still got the opportunity to be out there and be in that, you know, in that situation in the World Cup start gate with all my idols and stuff like that. So, again, that's something I was very fortunate enough to do. And like, if I'm not sure where I would be if I didn't, have those, um, opportunities when I was younger, because I got so much more time and experience in World Cup than, some of the Canadians would and the whole US team, because there's so many guys like that are at such a high level, just going head to head for these limited amount of spots.
Hmm. I feel like that's really something that influences when we were talking about who you represent and all that. Um, because as you said, you got your opportunities, you got, even if you don't get a result, it's so positive reinforcement, as you said, because you meet your idols, you see that it is a possibility.
Right.
Whereas you have some Canadian or American skiers that could make a top 10 in the World Cup that don't even get a spot because there's too many good athletes from that country. An example is Colby Stevenson. He didn't make the Olympic team this year.
I
But
know.
we all know that if he was there, he could have podiumed.
Easily. Yeah.
So it is such a thin line between okay, Colby didn't make the team versus okay, maybe in another world, Colby is there and is silver medalist. Who knows? And it's not. This is not far fetched at all.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know why. I don't know him personally, but this is something I saw in that I thought was cool in Livigno, which is Ben Lynch, who I'm pretty sure is Canadian, a pipe skier. But then
Exactly.
he was representing Ireland and ended up eighth, which
Yeah.
is like I don't know him, so this is all speculation. Sorry, Ben, if I'm inventing stuff, but maybe there's a lot of great Canadian skiers. He's not getting opportunities. Then Ireland is down to have him, and then because of that, he can go, and then he gets top eight.
Yeah. I know. I thought about that a lot over the Olympics. Because of course my brother was competing in pipe and I watched that
Yeah,
whole thing go down, and it's like, a lot of people in this world will, not trying to hate on anyone, but they will switch countries to some, their great grandfather was once from, Austria, and they'll want to switch to that just to go.
yeah,
And then, they'll go and they'll, won't be able to put down a very great result. But in Ben Lynch's case, like he made that switch right before the Olympics, and then he ended up getting to go,
yeah,
one, making his first finals, two, and then getting a top eight. Like pretty damn incredible. And that's that whole thing about the opportunity, and like being in a country where there's so many great athletes and you're trying to fight each other for that one last spot. It's hard. It's really tough, and I feel bad for a lot of athletes, especially from Canada. Like some of those next gen slopestyle skiers are just so damn fun to watch and such great skiers. Jeremy Gagne,
mm.
um,
Alec Anderson.
Alec Henderson. I mean, I'm stoked Alec got some more opportunities this year, and then he showed them who's boss, and that was great to see.
Yeah.
Charlie Beatty,
Oh, he's incredible.
one to watch out for. I cannot wait to see that kid.
This is some obscure thing because no one watches those stream, but he won the Stoneham Norham this year, and his slope style run was so fucking good. I'll
Yeah,
need to
I was
find it and post it online or share it because I saw it. It was really tech, really well done, but also had some flavor to it. I was like, okay, Charlie is ready.
dude, that kid is so good.
Yeah.
I love watching him ski. I love skiing with him, and yeah, I'm stoked to see him continue to progress because he's going to be very good soon.
So we kind of branched off with the nationality. I feel like it's a rabbit hole that is so deep. Like there's so much stuff that we could discuss, but yeah, we were talking about you the cost of free skiing and you making your way up there. Um, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but you made me think of something that I thought was funny. Your first World Cups and your first results were as a half pipe skier.
That's right.
What's up? What's up with that? Where's the half pipe Luca these days?
So I'm gonna just touch back real quick on the junior nationals,
Yeah.
which is our pinnacle event when we were little kids. And what was so cool about that is every year they had an overall title, and that's what
Mm,
everyone wanted. And in the overall title, to get that, you had to compete in free ride, half pipe, slope style, ski across, and then one sort of racing discipline.
wow.
And so, I think again, coming from New Zealand and growing up in the place that I did, we got taught not only to be park skiers, but to be all round good skiers. We were in the pipe, we were in the free ride, we were, doing racing and ski across once or twice a year. And I think that's definitely helped create who I am as a skier and has helped me progress to where I am.
And now it's time for another sponsor break. Dick Hans is a family owned fast food restaurant chain in the Montreal region with 15 locations now. 70 years after opening their first location on Montreal's Boulevard Pineuf, Dick Hans is still focused on what matters most: the same menu with great food made out of quality ingredients. I've said it, I'm a Dick Hans super fan, and many people ask me what's my go to. It's their famous Wally burger, a double cheeseburger with slices of pepperoni on top. It's so good. Also, Dickens is now selling their famous sauce in their restaurants and in many Metro grocery stores throughout Quebec. Plus, they've put a bunch of great recipes to go along with it on their website at dickenssauce.com. Also, big news, they just opened a new location in Mirabel on the north shore of Montreal, so make sure to check that out. Support companies who support skiing, support Dickens restaurants. That is so smart because in North America, at least from the with the kids I'm seeing and the comps I'm judging, there's a lot of kids that you see that all they've done for a lot of runs are straight line into a jump, and
Exactly.
they learned cork 7, dub 10, dub 14.
Yeah.
It seems like they're too hyper focused on what will score in a low level comp. Okay, you need to learn your dub 10, and there's more to skiing than that. There's, you can see that there's something missing. So yeah, when you say that, it seems like such a great idea. Free ride to learn how to handle your skis, pipe to learn how, all the different things help you as a skier.
Exactly. I mean, every aspect of skiing will help another aspect of skiing,
Yeah.
So I think that is a really cool thing that we used to do in New Zealand.
Yeah. So when you see, you know, again, getting ahead of myself, but in your slope run at X Games this year, you really surprised me with the shark fin where you go and fucking huck a humongous triple.
Yeah,
Do you think there's a side that is like young Luca doing pipe that helped you with those kind of features from time to time, or it's a complete different game at that point?
100%.
Yeah.
I put it all down to my half pipe skiing because I did half pipe for a long time. I again, from the junior nationals, we always skied all disciplines. So I was doing free ride comps. I was doing the junior free ride tour in New Zealand until I don't know, I was probably like 14, 15, and then that's when I more started focusing in the freestyle disciplines. Um, but yeah, I skied half pipe all the way up until 2020, where I actually went to the Youth Olympics and got bronze in half pipe.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I loved it. I still do. I love half pipe. It's sick. Um, but there was a point in time where it was kind of that time to decide which path you wanted to take because I mean, obviously there's only very few people that have been able to successfully do three different disciplines. And mad respect to them, especially Henry Silder, shout out.
Yeah.
That
I
was
was
on.
about I was about to he's the only one in the modern times. Back
Yeah,
in the days there were more, but these days it's him
yeah.
and Eileen and with the women.
But that's the other thing, like back in the days, like I grew up watching Jossie Wells, my
Mhm.
hometown hero. He was a pro half pipe skier and pro slopestyle skier. So I think it's kind of always been part of our culture down in New Zealand to ski all disciplines and to do half pipe and slopestyle. Um, but yeah, then it came to that point in time where it was like kind of a choice. Which path do I want to take? And as much as I did love half pipe, I think I did love slopestyle and big air more. I found it to be way more creative. I
Mhm.
found half pipe to be quite repetitive. But another thing was it was kind of at that same time where my brother was deciding which path he was going to go, and we thought about it for a long time. And it was like, if it ever came down to a point where Benny and I were fighting for one Olympic spot, like that would not be nice.
So there was a brother aspect also in the choice.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was kind of a family choice, really.
Mhm.
I mean, as cool as it would have been, like, going head to head with your big bro and the comps and stuff, like, it would really break us apart if, one got chosen over the other for world champs or for the Olympics or so yeah, that was definitely one aspect. But to be fair, like I think I was meant to be a slopestyle skier. I love it. And I still look at half pipe and I'm like, yeah, it'd be sick, like doing all these because I got all these tricks on jumps and I'll go to half pipe and be able to learn it there. But I don't know, there's so much more freedom to slopestyle. And I love that about the sport.
Yeah, it's really personal, but I agree with you where if you want to change up your rail run, you can, and your jump run, and sometimes you're forced because the jumps are different. There's a shark fin, or there's a QP, or there's a different size of jump, or the rail features. Whereas with pipe, I'm like, fuck, you're, there's a lot of doing the same run over and over again. You got to be made in a certain way to not get, I don't know, to not find it repetitive. I'm sure there's some fun stuff to it, but I I see the repetition being like a hindrance at some point for the fun of it.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think it was on that quite flat trajectory for a long time until Nico Porteous stepped up to the plate and started to bring in his flavor and look at unique ways of riding a half pipe and unique ways of being different in the half pipe. And I think that has changed the whole half pipe sport so much. And it's so cool to see, the younger generation being so inspired by him and that creative side of skiing and then bringing that into the pipe because, pipe is so exciting to watch now. And I love it. I'm so stoked to anytime there's a half pipe comp on. It's so fun to watch. But they still are very limited. With us, we have exactly as you said, we get shark fin features. We have every competition, there's a new set of rails. There's a giant DFD or there's a giant flat down or there's always something new and creative and different options to explore and especially with like pullbacks and stuff like that. Like it's not really as easy to do that in a half pipe on a vertical wall. So, we do have a lot more um creative
Wiggle room.
yeah, creative room to do different stuff.
Yeah. And then there's like, let's say in lax this year at the World Cup, at the bottom there was a feature that you could approach from the sides as a shark fin, but it was really like a butter pad, a
Yeah,
big roller, which is like blank canvas, do your thing.
exactly.
Yeah. Whereas maybe there could be a creative way to approach a pipe, like, you know, make the end different, or there's always the joke of like, oh, put a rail at the top or something.
Well, they did that at Dew Tour
Yeah,
a couple
years back.
years.
Yeah.
They what did they call it? Modified pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had, a jump into it and a cutout and they put a couple rails in at the bottom and stuff like that. It was cool, but yeah, it was dangerous
Yeah,
as as
exactly. Speed management and all that.
yeah.
When you chose between pipe and slope, was there, to your point, a thought about danger? Because it feels like the in slope you see less of those gnarly bails than in pipe. When you hit the wall or whatever. Like just in the Olympics, we saw Cassie Sharp with the women, and then Finn Melville with the
Yeah,
men. That like, whew, it's when it goes bad, it goes real bad.
yeah. I don't really think that was part of my decision. I mean, I was still only probably like 15 or something, so I was
You
just
don't, yeah, you don't think about that when you're that age.
I was just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go as big as I can," like, not really thinking about consequences. Looking back on it now, I'm like, "Yeah, damn, there's way more consequences in half pipe."
Yeah. And even in what you're doing, there's consequences. Like, I don't want to butcher his name because it's a Norwegian name, but there's William. I think his nickname
Yeah,
is Boost.
yeah, Willie
Who got hurt this year at the Steamboat World Cup, where
yeah,
I wasn't there. I just heard, talks about it, but trying a nose butter in practice and cut an edge,
yeah,
which is like something that we're so used to. You guys are doing a nose butter dub. Was it Mac did nose bud 21
yeah.
at the Olympics? So we're used to it as if it's nothing, but there's still a high risk with the level you guys are at.
Yeah, that, that crash from Willie, I think, really shook the entire field that day, you know? It was a crazy reality check to us that what we do is very, very dangerous and, there are high consequences and, I just feel so bad for that kid, like, such a good kid, such a good human, and he still is so awesome to watch on skis, and yeah, I mean, I don't wish that upon anyone, and it was tough, that whole after that crash on the first training day, like, everyone was very shook up from it and a bit, quiet after that, so it was a scary reality check for sure.
Because you still have your goal of the Olympics, you still have the comp to go, but then you just had a reminder that there's that whole life outside of skiing that you need to be careful with.
right? I mean, I had a kid, Lucas Ball, who's on my team. You know, he does a lot of butters in the big air, and he's a good friend of Willie's. And yeah, he saw that and he's like, he got freaked out. You know, he's like, I don't want to butter this jump, and that's like totally respectable.
Which goes to the risk, as I was saying, but also I think there was something about that jump that wasn't the best. I heard it. Maybe you have your thoughts on it, but that it goes that you guys need great jumps that are well built, or else it gets dangerous.
I do agree. I think that jump just on that first day, the conditions were kind of wild. Um, like the takeoff was pretty mucky, which is why it was quite dangerous for the butters and stuff. But to be fair, I had a blast on that jump because it was different. It was
How so?
really quick and poppy, and it was gnarly. It wasn't like a beautiful jump, but it was different. Like we've had so many like long flat jumps over the World Cup tour, and they just are the same every time. Flat takeoff, flat landing, and then we're just taking it to the last line to get these tricks around because we want to push the sport as much as we can. And so, having a bit of a different jump, like real quick, real whippy, you go real high but not very far. I had a blast. I thought it was so fun. Just like it was just a change,
Yeah.
and I embrace change. I love it. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, as we were saying for slopestyle, that is fun with the different stuff. Must be fun to have a different big air from time to time.
Absolutely.
Especially as you just said, and I talked with Troy in our episode we did
Yeah,
about how frustrating it is for you guys where you have a level these days in the men's field and that you practice in different events or in airbags, and then you get to those comps and you're limited by the jumps.
very much so. Yeah.
How frustrating is it first, and also is it something addressed in the back rooms with Fizz being like, hey guys, what's up?
I mean, yeah, it's first of all, it is very frustrating. Especially for me, like the triple 19 blunt, which is a trick I learned like, dude, it
One
might
of my favorite tricks I've seen in years. So good.
thank you. It might have been like 3 or 4 years ago I learned that trick.
Mm.
And I have rarely ever had the opportunity to pull that trick out because I mean, yeah, it's a gnarly trick, but the biggest thing is like when you're doing a triple with blunt, the way your body is positioned, you're not like getting that same power and wrap as you would with safety. So everything comes from the takeoff on that trick. And I find I need a lot of flip to be able to drive my feet through for the third one, like to get that third like cork five blunt around. And the amount of jumps, like that trick could win so much. And the amount of times I'll pull up to a jump and start trying to work really hard to get that trick done, and I just can't do it. Or like in teen a couple years ago, I bruised both my heels trying to do that trick. And then at World Champs last year, I got bodied trying to do that trick before finals. And it's like I've only really had the opportunity at X Games because they built a crazy nice, beautiful jump that had kick and it had power and time for me to finally bring it out and execute that trick and show the world it. But I've been so held back, like I wouldn't have been able to do it at the Olympics this year. After all this time, it's made me step away from that trick because I don't ever get opportunity to try it, to train it. And then if I'm gonna pull up to a small jump and try to do it, it's like, is it really worth it? I ask
Yeah.
myself. So yeah, that is a shame. And
So do you think that's why we're seeing a lot of those safety and Cindy grabs? It's more that the jumps aren't, you guys could do the other grabs, but the jumps are so small that you're forced into those grabs to turn it around in time.
yeah, definitely. I mean, if you have a bigger jump, of course you can lay out a big mute grab and whatever, but when it's small and you're trying to, it's like do you want to push the sport by having a beautiful grab, or do you want to push the sport by having a bigger trick?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, if you want the bigger trick, how are you going to make that bigger trick happen on a smaller jump? And it's like, well, clearly, the under boot grabs and the closer to binding grabs are definitely going to help you rotate and spin faster and get those tricks done.
Yeah. Which leads me into a good side. There's a lot of guys that are famous for their own flavor they brought, right?
Right.
For Vinny Gagne, it's his crazy tricks. For Henrik, it's the nose butter triple. Or, there's some stamps. It feels like your stamp in the past year has been, you didn't invent it, but you made it hyped.
Yeah,
The Esco grab.
that's right.
Yeah. What's your thought on Esco? Because you just mentioned, some grabs make it easier, harder.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been a given in the free ski culture that Esco is fucking hard.
Yeah.
But then you also make it look like it isn't. When did you start doing Esco? Because before you did it, felt like no one was doing it. Sure, you would see some people from time to time in an edit, but in comps, I don't remember seeing an Esco before you.
Right.
And now I'm seeing kids in low level comps doing Escos.
I know, it's so fun to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that grab changed my life. It seriously did.
Shout out Henrik.
Shout out. Yeah, that grab, once I learned it with the switch trip 16, it went from, my first World Cup win to then winning the X Games and to so many like success within slopestyle and big air. But yeah, that actually, it's a funny story. I'll talk you through it. One day it was 2 years ago, we were in Stubai for the Prime Parks.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't get to use airbags very often.
Which is like the training in the fall where you're all there before
Yeah.
the season starts, and where you have a nicer jump than you'll have all season long.
The biggest jump. It's so sick. So yeah, we were out there for that, and being from New Zealand, like we're back home skiing all summer, where most teams will be out in Austria using the airbag and stuff. So that's our time to get like a couple sessions in. And we planned with my coach to, we had our tricks. We were like, go work some left 16s with Japan, go work the switch on net 18, do some switch other way 18s with blunt, like stuff like that. We had our goals, and I went in, and I ticked all those boxes, got all those tricks done, and then we had like an extra day there, like an extra session. I was like, I'm just gonna mess around and try some random stuff. And my coach wasn't even like over there. He was at the smaller bag with one of my other teammates, and I was messing around. And I was like, whoa, like I wonder if I could do a switch trip 14 and grab Esco, because I started to learn it in like a carving dub 12. It's fun because it was like, it felt so sick, and I was like, damn, this is so fun. And I was like, wow, damn, I wonder if I could go like switch trip 14 Esco. And so the first one, I set it, and as soon as I got my hand like close to Esco, I just like wrapped through and went to 16, and I was like, holy crap, like that was and so I like did it a couple more times. I was like, damn, this is actually really sick. But to be fair, at the time, this is where everyone's doing like, big trip 18s, trip 19s, and I'm doing a switch trip 16. I was like, I don't really know how this is gonna score.
Yeah. You got to test it to see.
Exactly. And I was like, the next couple of days we were up at Stubai, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna try this trick and just see how it goes. And to be fair, it went so bad. Like, I couldn't get my second hand onto the Esco. It is such a timing game. Like, you have to be so perfectly on point with your timing of when you bring your hand over. Otherwise, you're just fighting yourself the whole time. And it was like rep after rep after rep after rep of just like touching my boot or maybe getting my fingers on the ski. Anyways, we had the Stubai World Cup next, and then right after that we went to China for the Beijing Big Air. And I was like, all right, like I'm gonna try it. I want to try to do it. With no idea how it was gonna score. And it took me the whole training session to finally grab my both skis and learn the trick. But Um, once I had done it, finally, went through to quali's day, and I did it, and it scored like a 95 or like a 96, like the highest scoring trick of the day, and I was like, "No way." It was, like, unbelievable,
You just
and,
unlocked something.
yeah, and then that's where it all clicked and started from there.
So that was 2024.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right
December
before, right when it all started.
November,
Then,
December 2024.
yeah, you got fourth at that one. And then that was the start of the streak, let's call it.
That's where the anger came out.
Yeah. What anger?
I don't know, I think that was, like, a huge turning point in my career, that 4th place.
Mm,
'Cause, I got a 3rd place the year before in slopestyle. It was kinda like, I qualified 3rd, then they canceled finals. So I mean, it was still a podium, but it wasn't like a proper result.
yeah. You didn't feel the personal satisfaction.
Yeah, I mean, I did, but at the same time, there was a little devil, like, eating away at me like, "Ah, that's not a real result yet."
Yeah.
But, um but yeah, once I saw, like, I had that such a high score on that, switch trip 16, I was like, "Alright, what other tricks can I do to, like, even that out, and then I'll be winning."
Hmm.
And getting 4th sucks. I'd rather get 5th because, when you're 4th, you're so close to the podium, and it's like it's a great result, but you don't get any hype from it. It's like it hurts so much being 4th, like, being so close to the podium, but not actually physically on the steps. And I was like I was pissed after that comp. I was like, "I want this so bad. I'm gonna be on the podium." And then the next comp was in Klagenfurt on, one of those, like, scaffolding big airs, which I had never actually done before. And it was a smaller jump, and I right before that comp, I went out to Absolute Park, and I just trained that switch trip 16 on, like, a smaller jump, like, just over and over and over and over and over, and then I was able to do it on that small jump where most people couldn't do, like, the big triples, so I
Mm.
had a bit of a advantage there, um, and then, yeah, ended up winning that next comp.
And you mentioned that it was really a precise timing for the ESCO to figure it out.
Yeah.
When is that exactly? It's in the first cork, like going because you go. Your first one is switch cork sev, right?
Yeah, so it's technically the perfect timing to get onto ESCO is at what would it be?
Switch cork five ish.
Yeah, just after. So, like, switch cork 6.
Yeah, and then you have to hold on.
Well, the thing I find, it's like that same thing that we were talking about with the safety versus the mute and the blunt, like, the more of an open body position you have, the slower you're rotating, but when I finally, like, connect with that ESCO, you're in such a tight ball and tight body position that it kinda speeds you up through the wrap part,
Yeah,
and so, like, as soon as you have the timing and the right snap on takeoff, then the middle part of the trick is actually, like, pretty powerful and quick, but if you miss that timing, it's like it's so scary.
yeah. You see that in slow mo replays where sometimes people miss a mute, or they'll go for a trip 18 mute, let's say, random example. And the mute is what is holding everything together. But then you can see that in the first cork, they miss the mute. And then it's like a whole
Yeah,
game in slow motion of trying to catch it back just so it doesn't end badly.
yeah, just to fight it and get it back around to your feet.
Yeah, that must be scary.
Big time, and that's the scariest part of the Trip 19 blunt. When you miss the blunt,
Oh my God.
oh my gosh, like, that trick is the scariest thing I've ever done.
What happens when you miss it? Do you try to hold it and keep it to a 12, let's say?
I mean, I've been pretty lucky, like, no, I'll continue because I've set with as much
Mm,
power as I
right.
physically can, so I'll either, like I've been fortunate to a lot of times be able to whiff and then get my hand back on safety and do, like, an 18, but sometimes it's like a full, like, knee grab through the 14 and then wrapping out.
Yeah, you guys are crazy. Yeah. One of the best saves ever that's been done recently was Mate in Lax,
Yeah,
where he tried a nose butt dub, edge cut, loses his ski, and then ends up doing like a bio 10 and stomps it. It's
yeah.
like, fuck, okay.
Have you ever seen that clip of Cody LaPlante losing both skis on takeoff?
Maybe. That's from a while back, right?
Yeah, it was like I forget what he was doing, like a dub 10 or a dub 12, and he lost both skis. He's like grabbing his boot with no skis on, doing a like skeezy dub 12 into landing with no skis.
Did he landed it or?
He got a bit old because he was in full just both boots down, but he saved it pretty damn well.
Yeah, once your boot touched the ground, like that happened to Sarah Offlin at the Olympics, where
Yeah,
she lost a ski. I think it was in a dub 10.
yeah,
Lands one ski on the ground and then one boot on the ground, which is
yeah,
that's the worst. And then the boot catches in the snow, and then oh my god, so
yeah.
bad.
And you get tossed.
Yeah, but yeah, we were saying, do you think it's as shitty for everyone? Do you think everyone feels the fourth in the same way, or it depends on how competitive you are? Because there were some people recently. Andrei Regetli finished fourth for his second Olympics in a row. There was also Kirsty Moore finishing fourth in both slope and
Nice.
big air, which I had thoughts for them being like, oh fuck, so
Right,
close yet so far.
exactly. Yeah, I definitely think it hurts the same for everyone. I think if you haven't had a podium yet and, you get fourth, it's like, damn, that's actually pretty sick. Like, I was so close to being on the podium, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Once you've had that taste of a victory on the and being on the podium steps, like, you never wanna lose that feeling.
Because you could have had that positive feeling, or maybe you had, because with that fourth you had in Beijing, it was still a good sign of improvement
Yeah,
as you had been climbing up the ranks, and it was kind of stamping that, you know, you are at that right place, you are on the right trajectory, let's say.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
so was there that also, or is it more like you were kind of had done enough of climbing the ladder, you were ready to be up top?
No, I definitely think that you're right, like, it was still so motivating, it was like, "Damn, okay, I can actually do this."
Hmm.
And I think that as much as it hurt, it was also, like, such a good moment for me to be like, "All right, I know I have the capability of being there, now I just gotta go out and do it." So, it went both ways for sure.
Because I don't know if there is that perspective with you guys right now, but at least to me from the outside, I feel like being seventh or in the top 10 area is way more of a result than it would have been 10, 15 years ago.
Absolutely.
It felt like once upon a time between third and eighth, there was a big leap of difference. And
Right.
these days, if you look at slope, you guys are all so good all around and so clutch that the difference between being second or seventh isn't that much. It's, it's details. So you can be bummed about finishing seventh, but also have something really banger.
No, I totally agree. I say that a lot. I'm like, in a sport like this where the level is so high from first place to 20th place, like, it all comes down to the day. It's not like one person is better, it's like, literally anyone could do it, and it's sick, it's so cool, and but then it's like figuring out what is gonna set you, like, apart from that 20. It's like, what's the one thing that can make you stand out more? And that's like the big question everyone's figuring out, and that's why it's so cool where our sport is going. Alex Hall really changing everything with bringing in the pullbacks, and Matei and Torm with their oh well, Matei's always doing something crazy. Whether it scores high or not, he's always out there trying to change the sport and do something new. And then Torm with his like butter bios, like finding new ways to stand out from the rest is what is fueling our sport so much, and it's awesome. I love it. I think it's awesome.
It's the whole, sometimes people will have a hard time with the judging because what should be rewarded more, Torm's Butter Bio or Max Nosebud 21?
Right.
And you can have your opinion, and that's where there's our gray lines. But I think that's what's beautiful about our sport is there's no trick. What's the word, rubric or whatever you call it, with like aerials or moguls, where there is a set defined point
Yeah,
for
yeah,
what trick, which is like our sport started out in the 90s to get away from that.
yeah.
That's where it all started, saying like, no, we don't want that, we want the freedom. and then that freedom comes with a cost, which is, you know, opinions and judges, and you
Yeah.
know.
It was it's interesting you bring that up because that was a big discussion I think 2 years ago when like A-Hall was doing the pullback and Matei started doing the Baron flip,
Hmm.
started getting scores super high for that. And then it's like, how does a judge, like the judges had meetings with us,
Yeah.
with the athletes, and we're like, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we have our opinions, but we don't really know. Like, we're not actually physically doing the trick. Is a trip 19 harder than a Tokyo underflip pullback?
Hmm.
And that was like a big question mark for a while. And it was like, how do you score like a 540 compared to like a 19? And I mean, great question. And we all like had to discuss that for a while. And something that a big thing that came up was the risk factor.
Yeah.
So doing as cool and as, new and creative the Baron flip was, he's technically like only doing one flip, and like you can kind of see the whole time, and it's a little bit easier to maybe bail out of that trick if it doesn't go well. Where a trip 19, you're doing 3 flips, you're not seeing as much, and the risk is a bit hard, like a bit gnarlier.
Mm.
So it's like, how much do they want to reward the creative side compared to like the risky hard side of it?
Hmm. And there's no answer. It's all about, the judges are not there to be a decider of the sport. It's
Right.
it's athlete driven. It always has been, and always will be, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, and I've never been in those chats between the judges and the athletes, but from what I understand, there's a big openness to, okay, what do you guys think? Do you guys think it's whack? Do you guys think, and then
Exactly.
hearing everyone's thoughts, and then that gets brought back into the judging for the leading season, being like, okay, we
Yeah.
heard the athletes, what, you know.
Then they get a better understanding of where our heads are at. And yeah, real quick, I want to give a huge shout out to Jason Aarons, because he has been so great over the past few years about being understanding and organizing to get athletes together and to talk through it and to get opinions and express different areas and thoughts. And then he'll be running judging clinics to show us how they would process it, how they would go through a run and be like, this would score this, how SBS works, like where their thoughts are coming from. So we're all on more of an equal understanding. Yeah, Jason's absolute legend, and has done so much for our sport these past few years when it's gone into this crazy realm of what it is now.
Yeah, we'll get to talk about how your thoughts on the Olympics. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's keep going on that, because I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, having your thoughts with someone in the field, where how do you assess that going into a comp, or maybe your thoughts in general of like, you have your own things that you like doing. There's other guys doing a bunch of stuff,
Well,
and
that's
then
yeah. I mean, that's another thing that's really hard in judging. It's like, should you reward a well, I'm not talking butters, like a switched up Misty over a double cork or a switched up cork? Should you reward a dub bio over a double cork? And it's like, everyone has their own strengths. So like for some people, the dub bios are way easier for them than the dub corks are, or the switched up misties are easier than the switched up corks are. So it's hard to say like, oh, that trick is clearly harder, or that axis is clearly harder, when everyone has different strengths.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that, I mean, that's
But
just
then I feel like maybe
unfair.
I'm wrong, but to me, my first thought is, well, it goes back to the majority. If for 9 people out of 10, the switched up Misty is harder, then there's like something, kind of an average that gets brought up into a certain common sense, where, Bobby Brown did the first switched up Misties, and people had been doing switched up for a couple of years. I don't know if it was 3, 4, 5 at that point, but it seemed like the thought, same thing as we were saying with Nosebud Bio. Bobby doing switched up Misty at that time, everyone was like, "What the fuck is that? So risky, so gnarly." So there's, I've never done a switched up Misty, not even close. So, but there is that like common sense thing of, well, fuck, it seems more risky.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. That's how it goes in the sport. It's like at first, like A-Hall learned the dub 9 pullback.
Hmm.
It was crazy. It was rewarded so high. And it's the same with any trick. Like anyone who, whoever does the first trip 18, once other people start learning it, it's like not as rewarded because more people can do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just how it goes in our sport. Like,
Which I think is cool. It's the progressive factor. Like in our
yeah,
criterias, there's progression, which is an open world, but let's say standing out,
yeah.
which I think
I
is
mean,
super cool.
and then we saw it again at the Olympics. Like Torm came in with the switch tail butter dub bios not too long ago.
Mm,
And now you have Elias doing it. You have Ulrich doing it. A few people doing it. So it's like, once the trick is done, that's just our sport for you. And
yeah.
that's why people like find new areas to touch in and to creative new ways to expand our sport is because if you keep following that linear trajectory, like the first switch 19, it's like holy crap, switch 19, then 5 other guys do it, and it's like another switch 19. And but that's what's cool, that's what pushes our sport. It's like finding new ways to get creative and finding ways to separate yourself.
Yeah. And big shout out to you in that sense with the ESCO and with the dub 14 bring back to 12. Holy fuck.
Yeah, I'd love to chat about that when we're close to
Yeah,
that.
well, whenever we can, because you mentioned a hall doing the dub bring back,
Yeah,
which I don't remember when he first did it, but that was part of his Olympic winning run in 2022.
right.
Insane skiing, and in that run, he was being super tech, but also creative. He did the bounce, insane run. He won the Olympics, and I'm curious on your thoughts because you also did it and you had podiums with it afterwards. How hard is that trick? Because I feel like what was rewarded at that time, and then again, it goes back to something is new, it gets rewarded. People have
Yeah,
their assumptions, but then once some people figure it out because you did it. There's also Sebastian Sherva. There's
yeah.
maybe other people I'm forgetting. There's I think Cody LaPlante also does it now. What's the recipe with that trick? Is it as hard as people thought it was? Is there a secret cheat code to unlocking it?
Um, the thing that I've found with that trick is it literally goes against everything you've learned, like fundamentally. So, for a perfect takeoff, you want your hips squared, you want to be kind of in a T position, chest straight forward, taking off on the jump, and you want to be setting cork. You don't want to be rorking, you don't want to be.
But it feels like A Hall morks it a bit.
That's the thing. Like that's how I had to learn it. It was I just studied his one,
Mm,
screen recorded it, and I flipped it. Like in photos, you can flip it. So I flipped it so that he was spinning right because I'm a right spinner.
wow.
And I do that with a lot of tricks, to be fair. And I just studied it and studied it, and I'm like, well, he's like setting like kind of forward, like almost like a misty. And yeah, that was the whole key. Was I literally had to forget about everything I learned about a good takeoff and do the complete opposite.
Hmm.
Because the whole key is to you see Mate do it a lot. We call it like the whack flip pullback.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of off axis backflip and then snap it back the other way. And it
Because
was
the
like,
more flippy you are, the more control you have on that pretzel-y or like shifty.
yeah. And it's like my thought process was, how can I do a 7 variation into that whack flip pullback?
Hmm.
And it's like, what sort of axis is going to get me into that position to do the whack flip pullback?
Because there's a lot of variety right now with that. There's uh what Troy was doing with the Burkle flip.
Yeah.
There's Kim Goopser with
Yeah.
his switch dub or sometimes trip bring back.
Yeah.
Um, it's all around the same physics of being a bit more flippy, but or
Yeah.
no?
Again, and we've talked about this so much because you have a block
Yeah,
and then you have a pullback.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
And technically, like it's still like if you're doing a dub 9, it's still a dub 9, but the pullback is a lot harder because the pullback you're actually properly stopping your momentum, doing a full 1080 and doing a pretzel 180.
yeah.
Where the block is you're just closing off your shoulder and still holding your rotation and just holding it to switch. So that was also a big one. Like with the judging side, it's like what's harder, the block or the pullback? And of course, we went towards the pullback because it makes more sense. But
So you were trying to get the bring back. You mirrored your phone, watched it a bunch.
yeah,
What was the cheat code?
I don't even know. Like literally just I started training it on the airbag in Australia. We went out for a week because again, like we don't have our own bag, so we get like 2 times a year where we get to go to the bag, and it was like that's one of the tricks I want to go and learn. So just study the clip, and I go to the bag, and I just do rep after rep after rep to try to find that feeling and that same pullback rotation, and it ended up just being like kind of throwing myself like against the jump in like a front flip motion, but then trying to like wrap at the same time.
Yeah.
And then just over time, it started to like click, started to figure out the rotation and the feeling. And then, yeah.
But what brought you to that trick? Because to me, maybe I'm wrong, but to me, it feels like sometimes people focus on those creative tricks as a way to get out of the fact that maybe they're not as good with a certain direction. They're not good and they're on that spin, so they're kind of learn something to wiggle out of that. But you're someone who's really fucking good at spinning all ways. So
Yeah, that was also a problem for me. Is like, I didn't want to do it to the left. I'm a right spinner, and I didn't really see it to the left. So it's like I'm sacrificing, probably my, at the time, my stronger direction was like the like forward right, the triples, the dub 16 blunts. I was doing dub 18 and dub 19 lead tail, lead Cuban
mhm,
for a while, and it was like I'm sacrificing those tricks to learn a 900. But I think like what the biggest thing was for me was I was watching A-Hole do it over and over and over, and nobody else was doing it, and A-Hole would win,
mm,
and he'd keep winning, and he'd keep winning, and I was like, well, clearly something is up with that trick that is making him win.
yeah.
I'm like, if I want to win, I'm gonna go and learn that. Like nobody else wants to do it. I want to learn. I want to learn it. Like that's cool. That's creative, and I think that trick helped me, see skiing in a new way because I'm still young. I was younger. I just was following the path of I learn the 14, learn the 16, learn the 16, learn the 18, learn the 18, let's try a 19, 21s.
Yeah.
I think like learning that pullback and seeing that unique way and creative way of doing different tricks to still score high 90s is really cool. And I was like, I really liked that.
Once you figured it out, that was a good staple of yours in slope runs and in
Yeah,
big airs.
big time.
Was it your first win, Klagenfurt, switch trip 16 Esco, and then the bring back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing was I did the bring back with the switch trip 16 Esco in Beijing where
Mm,
I got fourth, but it was at that turning point where it's like, can a 9 get rewarded the same as trip 19s? And I mean, I was fortunate enough on that Klagenfurt jump that it
people
was,
weren't doing it.
yeah, it wasn't very big. So people weren't able to do the big trip 18s, trip 19s. And so that's where that dub 9 came into play. But that's again like touching back on that whole repetitive side of half pipe skiing and the wider side of slopestyle skiing. It's like you have to have every trick there, like just be able to put it in when you need to and have it like on lock. And it was like bang, small jump, all right, dub 9 pullback's the option. And then the next competition we went to, Kreischberg, that was where the jump was a bit bigger. People were doing bigger tricks. I was like, all right, I can't do the dub 9 pullback here because that's not going to compare against the big triples.
Hmm.
So I ended up doing I don't know if it was carving or not, but I did a trip 18 and the switch trip 16, and then managed to win that one too.
Strategy.
Yeah,
It's a mathematical thing where it's the score of your jump addition with the score of your other. So as you were saying, the other for the other comp where you saw that you scored a 95, then okay, you know that an average of 90 something will get you a podium. So you got to score. You scored a 95. Okay, maybe you can afford a jump that will score a 87. But
Exactly.
do you want to go with the 87 and risk it, or do you want to still it or go for something that will also score in the 90s? And it seems like a big strategic game. I don't know how much that plays into your thought, that whole
Oh,
mathematical thing.
that played into my head all year this year,
Oh yeah.
in the big airs at least.
Hmm. A big thing that made some fuss, and that was your breakthrough, I guess, for the because again, for anyone who follows free skiing closely, everyone had heard Luca Harrington. It felt like you,
Yeah.
you were online, you were making edits, you have been in the comp circuit.
Yeah.
But then when there were those two back to back big airs, it was
Yeah.
like, okay, Luca has now unlocked something. Like you never had a podium, or as you said, a podium the spring before, but whatever. Now back to back wins inside of what was it, 2 weeks back to back?
It was like a few days, honestly.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then there's the whole thing where sometimes people forget that things in life aren't as simple. People are like, well, why isn't Luca in X Games? And it's like, well, it's a whole event with invites that have been sent out months ago. Until recently, he wasn't in the top 8 in the world for big air or slope. And
Right.
like, there's nothing personal in there. It's just the logistics of that type of event. And
Exactly.
everyone's like, oh, fuck, they don't like Luca. What's going on with Luca? And it's like, well, fuck, that's how life goes sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were you, in that in between where you weren't sure if you would get a spot? Were you pissed? Were you bummed? Or like, what was the, because I'm sure at that point you're like, I know that if I go to X Games, I can get a result, but also you understand that the situation, I guess.
Yeah, I think I was more bummed the year before. I really wanted a big air invite, but I mean, you're right. Like I always had that thought in the back of my head, like, I'm not in the top 8. I'm not one of the head guys. And then of course you got like they'll always invite like their X Games legends. And there's always so many limited spots. So you have your X Games legends, and then you have the guys that are doing successful that year, and then you have like a couple extras. There's like one, maybe two spots. I was really after Kreischberg winning, I was like really, really wanted that spot.
Because it's hard at that point. The invites are already sent. So
Yeah.
it's not as if they'll say, hey, Torm, let's say, hey, Torm, you're out because now Luca is good. It's like,
Yeah, right. They can't do that.
yeah,
But yeah. So actually, in Kreisberg, I was in the car on the way home one day, and they pops in the email X Games. I was like, no way. And this is like at this point, I'm checking the first thing I wake up in the morning. I open my phone and I check my emails. No invite from X Games. Dang.
fuck.
But yeah, on the way home one day, it was like X Games invitation. I was like, no way, no way, no way. I tapped on it and it was like big air alternate. I was like excited, but at the same time, I was like, shit, like not an actual spot. And then I was like, you know what? That's still so cool. I'm getting to go to X Games. Like this is all I've ever wanted. And then like 2 minutes later, I got another email from X Games. So I was like, huh? I was like, maybe they accidentally sent it twice, and it was like invite slopestyle alternate as well. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, I'm gonna get to go and do slope and big air. And the whole time I was just there, I was like, this is so cool. Like, I'm probably not gonna get in, I'm probably not gonna get in. I'm just gonna go embrace it, have the best time, ski with my idols. And then I think it was like a few days or a week before X Games, I got an actual physical invite for big air because I think somebody pulled. It might have been Eddie. I think Eddie might have pulled that year.
Right.
So I had a like proper spot for big air, and then I was still on the alternate list for slopestyle. But yeah, that was pretty crazy.
And slopestyle was more at the event that someone pulled off or got injured, or was it Torm getting injured?
It was Torm, so he had a spot for slopestyle, and night before slope, he had knuckle huck,
Yeah. Got wrecked on first hit. Yeah.
and I didn't actually really know that. And then we had a big air training the night before slopestyle, like our final big air training, and I get in from the from training, and I'm in the athlete lounge like debooting and stuff, and then an email pops in and he's like, "Hey, yo, you're in for slope tomorrow." And I was like, "No way."
Is it stressful since it's right before the event, or just fun?
To be fair, I mean, the whole time I kind of had this mentality going on, this is all like this is all I've ever wanted. Is to be at X Games skiing with Alex Hall, Evan McCacker, Berkerud, all these guys, and I was just buzzing that night. Like I couldn't sleep. I was like, "Holy crap! I'm competing in X Games tomorrow," and so yeah, honestly, I didn't feel like any pressure because I wasn't expected to do well. Nobody was like seeing Luca to be the guy to win or anything. So I was like, I'm just gonna go out there, put down something I'm super stoked on, push myself, put down my best run, and whatever happens, happens. So I was like, if I can make the final round, that would be crazy.
Hmm.
And then yeah, so I kind of had that mentality and mindset going into the whole comp. And I think that's why I skied so good. I was just like, I was so happy. I was like, there's no pressure. Nobody's expecting me to do anything. I'm getting to be here at the X Games. Like, this is all I've ever wanted. And I skied like really good because of it. And then, of course, threw in the switch trip 16 Esco and it went into first. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, holy crap. I could actually like do well here.
Do you think that helps? The fact that X Games is its own event, it's a one off. When the weekend is done, it's done. There's nothing else versus those World Cup circuits where, again, repeating ourselves, but with the federation and it's leading into the Olympics, leading into funding, leading into there's a lot of stuff building up where for the X Games, you can go for gold and just focus on that one thing because there's nothing more to it.
Yeah,
There's not the X Games Olympics coming in 3 years that you need points. There's no points. There's no country at that point. You're repping yourself. There's
right.
just how how hard do I want to go?
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely agree. There's no expectation, there's no pressure. Like if you lose, it's all good.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean anything for the rest of your season.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that's definitely an aspect for sure of X Games.
yeah. Do you think that helps? Because there's a fact where there are more eyes than in any other events, of people watching and discussing the event, but then also it's a one-off, so there's kind of both sides to it.
I think it definitely helps. I mean, the vibe at X Games in the start gate throughout the whole week is like it's so chill. You don't have like 20 coaches up the top, 30 athletes around trying to hike the rails and like get in there and like do the biggest tricks and the pressure and coaches everywhere and all that. Like it's all just like hyping each other up and trying to go out and put down something sick. And it's
Yeah,
there's only eight of you, and it's just like we're all homies. We're all out there for the same reason, having a great time, and of course wanting to do well. But yeah, there's less like expectation, I guess.
yeah. When you see all the clips leading up to it, it almost feels like a nines, where your low number, as you said, you're eight, with women as well,
Yeah,
and you're there with uh, hot laps or whoever is doing the follow cams, and then it's just like dope content of you guys trying your rail lines during the week. It
right.
seems like a filming shoot rather than a comp in some sense leading up to it.
Well, that's the other thing that I found a lot about X Games is we get 3 training sessions for like 3 hours with sleds, and it's like 10 people. You get so much skiing, and you
Mm,
get like so much time to explore options and like try to get creative, test things, do different tricks here and there, hit different features. Where in World Cup, you're under that pressure to like, you need to figure out your rail line and your jump line and just work that as much as you can in the small amount of time frame that you have.
would you say it's like double the amount of World Cup training?
Two, probably.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like so much skiing.
So slope, we can go through the run. Flat down rail, you do front swap, Pretz 2,
Yeah.
into switch to on Pretz 4 on the flat rail,
Mhm.
teardrop rail, back 3 swap, back swap front 2,
Yeah.
into switch left 16, into right dub, bring back,
Yeah.
into switch trip 16 Esco.
That's right.
One hell of a fucking run there.
Yeah.
that's kind of a statement where, maybe that's a generalization, but sometimes you can think that, oh, a big air skier, everyone has strengths and weaknesses in some sense. If you're dominant in big air, maybe sometimes your rail game is not as good.
Right.
But then that was kind of a statement of, oh shit, okay, he's not a big air skier.
Yeah. Well, that was a big thing for me in my head. I was like, I don't want to be known as a big air skier. Like, I know I can do good in slope, and I don't want to be known as just a guy who can do triple corks. Like I'm a skier and I'm an all around skier, and I wanted to show that. And yeah,
That's crazy. To again going back to everything we've said to you as a kid doing those comps where you do free ride and pipe and slope and everything.
yeah,
It's crazy that at 20 or 21 at that point, whatever, you're still young. And then you have, to me, it's always everyone starts as a kid who's bad and who's
right.
just figuring out a 360. And to me, it's that curve of, okay, now, and then you're 20 and you have a run that is that complete with such high level in both jumps and rails. It's like, fuck, how do you manage to get to that level
Yeah,
in such a quick time? And again, it's a testament to you, but also to everyone in the comp scene these days, which is, fuck, the level is high.
yeah.
It's
Um,
it's fun to see. It's hard to judge, but it's fun
oh
to see.
yeah. I mean, going back real quick to when you said, I mean, we get this question a lot from New Zealand. Everyone says there's something in the water down there, and they're like, "What is it? What is it? What's the secret? Why are there so many good kids coming out of New Zealand?" And I put it down to like to our inspirations. Like when I grew up, Snow Park, Snow Park?
Yep.
Snow Park was around. I'd go there every Friday after school and go night skiing.
Hmm.
And, there's Simon Dumont, there's Tanner Hall, there's Jossie Wells, there's Bobby Brown. Like all the legends of the sport were at my home resort. And I was like, every weekend I'm watching those guys and I'm like, holy crap, these guys are so cool. I want to be like them. Then, then we have the Wells brothers. They went out, they did their job. They had so much success in their careers in all disciplines. And then you have Finn Billis and his brother Hank. Even though Hank went the free ride route, incredible skier, so much success in free ride. Finn, incredible skier, so much success in slopestyle, then over into free ride as well. Then you have the Porteous brothers, Nico, X Games gold,
Olympic gold.
Olympic gold, yeah. Miguel had an X Games silver. I think he won Dew Tours, got some Dew Tour podiums. Like all of those guys were at my home resort, and I watched them and I watched their careers, and they have so much love and passion for the sport. And I think that's where we get it.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, I want to be like them. Those guys are so sick. I want to work as hard as I can to be like them. And then we have, me and my brother and our success. And then now we have Finley Malvalives and his twin brother Cam and their success. Like it's all just, we're so fortunate enough to come from, you know, Snow Park and Cadrona, where we get all the best guys in the world coming down and inspiring us every day and giving us that fuel, that love and passion for what we do. And I honestly put it down to that.
You're 22. You're old enough to have seen, as you said, Snow Park, but still young.
Yeah.
What is your memories of that? Because again, for people who are old enough remember, but for the younger ones, it was a small hill. It wasn't too big in New Zealand that was entirely dedicated to having one of the best parks in the world,
Yeah.
and where every summer all the pros ended there.
Yeah.
So must have been pretty insane to be there.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, don't have lots of memories, but I have a few key ones. And it's like they used to have a giant quarter pipe at the bottom of the half pipe there. And they used to do a quarter pipe event with like, music, and people came out and we just like watch these guys send it on the quarter pipe. And that was really sick. Um, and then I have a memory of I used to do like little comps out there too. They had like a small line, and I used to compete there. Did a few snow park comps, and then one big memory is actually right before they did the night skiing. Like it'd be open all day, and they'd do a quick groom through the park. and like the mountain was closed at the time before they reopen up at night. And I don't know if you know this clip. I'm not sure where it is, but Jossie, you know the legendary down rail with the stair set.
Yeah.
I was there when they were towing Jossie in, and he hit it as an up rail, landed, went back up, did a little trick, came back down, then hit it back as a down rail.
Yeah.
And I was in the lodge, like watching that from the window, like holy
Fuck yeah.
crap.
Yeah, I don't remember back in those days. They had the Winter of Wales series, which was
Yeah,
a web series, park edits and following the brothers traveling.
yeah.
I don't know if it was from there, but yeah, I remember. I miss those big features.
It's still there to this day. That stair set's still there.
So you can go and gibbet.
Well, people have tried and keep getting kicked out.
Mm,
They don't let anyone out there.
fuck.
Yeah.
All you big dogs from New Zealand should push the federation to like reopen it or something.
Right.
That would be crazy.
Well, yeah, they took the chair out, they sold it. It now is right there. They have it's called the Proving Grounds, and they do like car testing and tire testing up there. And now it's owned by that.
Okay. So what's in the water? There's culture and there's inspiration. And now you and your brother are leading the way, and Finn
Well, of course, yeah,
and Luke.
I was lucky to have an older brother to be pushing me, because he'd learn a trick. I'll be like, I want to do that.
How many years older is he?
2.
Okay.
So he's 24.
Yeah.
But another thing, I want to give a quick shout out to Cadrona Alpine Resort. Like, those guys put so much time and money and effort into building big ass parks and big air jumps and half pipes for us to train on. So that's another huge factor as to why we are good, is because we have had such a loving family at Cadrona, always backing us and supporting us and want to do anything they can to help us succeed. So they've been a huge part of freestyle skiing in New Zealand.
Let's get back into X Games. So you do slope first. We talked about the run.
Yeah.
Really tech run, really well done. Switch trip to the bottom, perfect to end off the run. You end up winning. You got in, as we said, quickly, but a weird time with the 1 year that they did the elimination round, which I wasn't a fan of. But curious how it went on your side, because you basically had to do a winning run almost 2 times, because to get
Yeah.
through the elimination, you had to be fourth, which in that field you need to fucking get it
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I think that was kind of a weird format too, but at the same time, it's kind of cool, and I like that X Games has that freedom to try do different things, like the timer and the ranking, and you got to do different runs and just trying new formats. It's cool. It makes skiing fun, and it creates change and competition.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was a little weird because there's only 8 of us. Last year there was only 8 of us. So it was like you had to make the top 4, which is kind of funny. But so yeah, you had to do your winning run like 2 or 3 times.
You were climbing the ladder slowly, as we said, with your youth Olympic pipe medal and all those stuff, and the junior world and the world champ where you got 5th in 2023. So like,
Yeah.
there was that build up, and then in that span of 3 weeks, you win your first big air, win your second big air, and then win X Games slope.
Yeah.
You're in an event that you weren't invited, then you got invited as an alternate, then you got a spot, and then you win.
Insane. And that was the craziest moment of my life for sure. Like, the phone just exploded. Like, I called my mom, and then after that, because she was back home in New Zealand, then after that, I just had to turn my phone off. I couldn't deal with it. Like, I was just
Too much.
so much. Yeah. I was trying to keep a level head because I had another job to do the next night. So, I just turned the phone off, went home, had a hot tub, went to bed.
You're good. That's feels like that's pretty mature thing to think through. Of okay, not too hyped. The job is not done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You didn't want to come down from that at all.
feels like you could have two feelings, which is like a bit of disbelief of okay, I achieved my dreams with my idols and everything, but also, as we were saying, there's so much talent in the guys that are trying to break that top 10 in the world. Let's say that you all know that you have the tricks to get it done. It's just a matter of getting that opportunity and being clutch in a way.
Exactly.
So, how much was it between like disbelief of getting that moment versus like, okay, shit, yeah, I deserve to be here and I got it done?
Yeah, I mean, I always bring that up, honestly, that deserving to be here point. For so long, when you're just coming into World Cup and you're, not making finals, you're kind of down at the bottom of the pack. You're not super friendly with all the pros yet. Um, you kind of feel like you don't belong there, And then over time, like the more you're in there, the more you're talking to, I'm talking to Burke Rude. He's like, he's like giving me inspo. He's like giving me help. He's giving me ideas, stuff like that. It's like, holy crap, this is cool.
Yeah.
Like that was a big turning point where it's like, all right, all these guys are just human. We're all doing it for the same reason. Like these guys have been at it and they've been so successful, but at the end of the day, we're all just here doing it for the same reason. We're all homies, and these guys are all great people. And yeah, I think it was kind of like those first two World Cup wins were just like, I'm buzzing, it's crazy, everything's happening. But after the X Games, where it was like I won slopestyle and not just big air, it was like I had so much respect from everyone, and it was like, I felt like I was, one of the boys, one of the guys then. And that was when I really was like, holy crap, all right, I belong to be in here. Like this is where I belong. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. And it must be nice to have that. And it feels like it's been wide in the industry where everyone respects you. Everyone fucks with your skiing. There's no hate. I haven't seen people hate on Luca Harrington. It's all like people like your style. People like, people fuck with you.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful for that because, I'm not I know I'm not the most stylish skier out there, and I look at my skiing and I look at someone like Ed Joy and I'm like, damn, like I don't know how he gets so much flavor and all that, but I still get a lot of respect, and it like doesn't all come down to what you wear and how you do your tricks and what kind of style you put on it. It's like try to be if you're out there being yourself, you're doing your own thing. It's like people respect that, and that's really cool to see.
And you have your own flavor. Sure, Edward is flavored to the max, but you have your own flavor.
Thank you.
Yeah. You mentioned something that curious to hear because that's something I saw looking back at your old podiums when you were a kid. Is as you were saying, everyone's human, and then you get with those people, the big dogs, the Berg, the A Hall, and you're basically chilling with them all year round because you're at the same comps, you're at the same training, everything. But there's also the fact that for a lot of them, you also grew up with them. Like
Right.
someone like Teapot. I don't know if you're friends with him or not, but you were in podiums with him 7 years ago.
Right.
So like, there's a lot of people also that you've known forever in some
Yeah,
ways.
big time. Yeah, I mean, I met T-Pod the year after he did his trip 14. It was, the youngest trip 14. Um,
In New Zealand.
yeah.
Yeah.
And one day he hit me up. He messaged me over Instagram and he's like, "Yo, do you want to go do a tramp session?" And I was like, "Holy crap. You go do a tramp session with Troy." And then after that, like we became such good friends, and like we're still such good friends. I was with him out in Mammoth last year. We got a house together and we're just, cruising out there. And but yeah, you're right. Like I was surrounded by these guys. I remember my first time meeting Elias Syria
Yeah.
on the chairlift in Cadrona. I was with my brother, and my brother's a lot more of a confident person than I am. He's very outgoing and really like a really good people person. And he's like, "Hey, like how's it going? Like I'm Benny." Like just said what's up to him, and then I introduced myself, and Elias is just there on the chair with us having a convo, like just saying what's up. And it was like, wow, that's so cool. And then now it's like now I'm competing with him. Now he's like a friend of mine. It's really cool. Full circle.
Yeah. It often starts like that. And that's what's cool with skiing is, one chairlift ride and it's the start of a friendship.
Exactly.
It just, and you're right. I had that with your brother. I came, first time I saw him, we were like a bunch of people lunching in Aspen. And then same thing, like, hey, I'm Benny. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, Benny, I'm Xavier.
Yeah.
And yeah, super chill dude. Shout out, Ben.
Shout out Benny.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if we don't want that podcast to be 7 hours, which I'm fine with, um, big air the next day,
Yeah,
elimination. Just for that, I did an episode with Jason in the past months, and just for
yeah,
that comp, we talked about it for 45 minutes because there's so much stuff. The level was unheard of. There's some debate. Who should have won? Is it you? Is it Mate? Is it
sure.
Miro? But
Yeah,
then, yeah, trip 19 blunt, trip 21 blunt.
yeah,
Fucking crazy.
yeah. It was funny. I mean, that 21 blunt had always been in the back of my mind.
Your trip 19 blunt, I mentioned it quickly, but is so amazing to me because, again, it seems like something that doesn't fit with a trip 19 blunt. You wouldn't.
Right,
What you like is the blunt is you were doing it super stretch out from your body, which it's something you never see because with that much spin, people never do it as clean.
right.
So then seeing that trick with that grab doing so cleanly, I was like, holy shit, that's nice.
Yeah, I was so stoked to finally do that one in comp.
Yeah. And then when you brought it to 21, wasn't perfect, but I was still like, fuck, how did he pull that off? It doesn't seem like the easiest end to the whole trick. Like giving it to 19 seems like pretty straightforward in a sense,
Yeah,
whereas turning it to 21 is like, whoa.
yeah. You go blind again right before you land.
Yeah. Was it your first time trying it?
Yeah, yeah. It was terrifying. But it's a funny story actually. You know that clip of Tanner Hall with Henny right before he goes for the nose butter triple,
Yeah.
and Tanner's like, "Yo, you got this shit, man!" Like he's like, "I believe in you. Let's put it in the history books." And
Would be so ill to win without it, though.
yeah, and anyways, I was at the bottom right before my last run because it was like made it through to the final round, did the trip 19 blunt to put a score down. I was on the podium, and then I get to the bottom, and I'd been talking to Berkru because he was a homie of mine now at this point, and I was talking to him about the 21 and how it was like a thought in my mind and all this stuff, and I get to the bottom. He's like, dude, do you think? He's like, are you gonna go 21? I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, what do you think? He's like, dude, I know you got this. He's like, you know exactly what to do. Set it hard, hold on, and you're gonna lace this shit. He's like, come on, dude, you fucking got this. And I was like, all right, like I'm gonna do it. I like ran, I got on the sled, get up top, I run up the stairs, and like Troy had already gone. Like I was a bit late because I was talking at the bottom, and I see my coach. I was like, hey, should we do this thing? He's like, dude, if you want it, I'm here. I'm backing you 100%. I was like, all right, let's do it.
That's
And
so
I
nice.
took that moment at the top, and then I kind of just blacked out. Everything just went silent, and then went for it.
Sick. Because it feels like that was how skiing was back in the days where you didn't have airbags, you didn't have any of that. So any trick at some point was a leap of faith of fuck it, you know?
Yeah,
Whereas now it feels more calculated where you do it a lot on the bag and there's a process getting to it. And then that's going back full back to the roots where it's a homie hyping you. It's like, "Ugh, okay.
yeah, exactly.
So maybe I can go straight, and we can talk about it more broadly. But then the week after Aspen Big Air, you get second. The week or two after Stoneham Slopestyle, you finish second. A couple weeks after Teen, you finish third. Couple weeks after World Champs, you finish first in Big Air. Fuck. How was the spring after that, or the months after that? Like when the dust settled.
To be fair, the biggest come down I had was after X Games. We had a slope style literally a couple days later on this exact course, and I was like feeling the world on my shoulders, and I was like, I feel like if I don't win, like nobody's gonna, you know, everyone's gonna be hating because
Really?
I don't. Well, I mean, it's just like something that was going on in my head. Of course, like, on the outside, it's like nobody is gonna say that, but I felt like I was expected to win because I just won on that same exact course,
Yeah.
and so I was kind of like tweaking through that comp. I wasn't feeling very good, and I ended up. I mean, I qualified through the finals, so I think I ended up like fifth or something.
You
Maybe
were 10th.
yeah, 10th. I crashed out. um,
But again, in a field with Mac Forehand, Fabian Bosch, Connor Ralph, Evan McEachran, Andre, Burke, Colby, A Hall, like as we were saying, you probably skied super well. Like I was judging there, but I don't remember exactly.
yeah,
But in
yeah. I tried to up my last rail, I think, um, and I think I blew it on both rounds. Uh, But yeah, I mean, after that comp, and I got 10th, and nobody reacted. I was like, oh, I'm all good.
life
Like this
goes
is fun.
on.
Yeah, and so I kind of climbed back up from there, and then Big Air came around in the jump. I wanted to, go for the Trip 19 blunt again, but the jump had melted out, and there was a new cat driver, and the jump got way smaller, and it wasn't as good. So I didn't get the opportunity again to do the Trip 19 blunt, but that was all right. But then I was stoked to get to Stoneham and put down another run and get another slopestyle podium. I was really, really, really proud of that one. That one was huge for me.
Yeah. And again,
Um,
I was there on that panel, not as a judge, well, with the judging panel, but just as trick caller.
Color, yeah,
And I remember you surprised me because the jumps were good, but they weren't the biggest. And then you went 18 to 16, and not many people in that field were doing it. Maybe just Evan also,
yeah.
because going a
I
switch
think
18 on that jump,
I think Evan did 18 to 14.
yeah. But like, not many of you were doing 18s on the jumps,
No, not at all.
and I remember that where I was like, oh shit, okay, fuck he's. And again, it's always a matter of sure, can you pull off a big spin on a small jump? But is it hindering your execution or are you still making it look good? And you were still making it look good. So it was like, again, a testament of he has his shit under control. He's
Yeah,
making it happen and still getting the grab, still making it look good. And then I remember there was a gap rail at the end and you had like a switch cork 450 on where I was like, fuck,
yeah,
okay, okay, we've got something there.
yeah.
Was that on purpose?
It wasn't at first.
Okay.
I The more I did it, I started to just kind of lean into it because it was kind of like sick.
Yeah. And yeah, then you figure, okay, it's doable.
It was like such a big gap. I was like, damn, this is kind of cool. I'm like kind of off access a little bit with it. So I just kind of kept going. Yeah, at first I was just trying to do a switch four, and then it started like kind of corking it. I was like, yo, this is cool.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on Stoneham? Because as a local, that made me laugh. I'm not from Quebec City, but from Quebec, that you guys go to Aspen and to all those fancy mountains, and then you have a slope World Cup in Stoneham. It felt like I was like, it must be funny or different for you guys to go to actually a normal hill and have a World Cup.
Right.
But then the setup looked really like on par with any other World Cup in some sense.
Yeah, that was the thing. I mean, I had a blast. I thought it was sick. First of all, never been to Quebec, so that was cool. The jumps weren't huge, but that's why we have a big bag of tricks to be able to pull out anything. Um, I had a really hard day the first day figuring out a rail line. Like those rails were tech, man. Those are not easy rails.
Yeah, and
So
quick. Like they
yeah,
seem quick one to another.
for sure. But then kind of once I figured out what line I was taking and kind of got the flow going, it was so fun. And then another huge thing I noticed about Stoneham was the amount of little kids out there that were so hyped on skiing and like so hyped on all the athletes and like out there watching and dapping you up was so cool to see. Like there's so many young shredders that are just fired up on skiing, and that was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, I feel like that's a great hill to have it because that whole Quebec City region where Stoneham is and Le Relais has been booming with generations after another, as we were saying,
Yeah,
of up and comers. Like Dylan right now, who's on the circuit, is from there. Jay Gagne also, and so many guys grew up there. B Ball, Emile Bergeron, and we can go on and on and on. And yeah, it feels like there's maybe some World Cups where it's in some fancy resort where the people watching you don't even know what free skiing is.
exactly.
Whereas over there, you're actually with the crowd. Like they
Yeah,
know what's
they
up.
were all so appreciative of it being out there, and they were so hyped. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to see. So yeah, and again, showing that you're not just a big air jog, you can also do the morels.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really stoked on that one. I really, kind of proved to myself a bit more because I was like, I was getting all the I was getting all the slope podiums, but big air podiums, but yeah, I definitely wanted to hunt down some more slope ones, which was sweet.
Yeah. And then when it was all said and done, one thing that surprised me, and I'm curious to have your thoughts on it, if you cared on it at all or not, was that I thought you for sure were going to have like the overall Crystal Globe.
Yeah,
And then another guy that also had an incredible season was Matei.
yeah, yeah. We were in a big battle
Yeah, I think.
for both globes.
And then he ended up winning, I think, because they don't take all your results. So they don't take the total amount of points you had. They only take the top, whatever, like 3, 4, 5,
Yeah,
whatever, best results. And when you put those down, since he had more wins and you had more podiums, he took it. Is that
yeah.
it?
Well, it came to a point of in big air and in teen, if I'd gotten second, I would have got both globes,
Mm.
and I got third. And so then I needed a third place in slopestyle the next day to secure both globes, but I crashed out.
Again, in a world of X Games and Olympics and World Cups, what's the thought on a Crystal Globe in free skiing these days? Maybe for you, but for others, like, is it something you think about? Is it something you care at all?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy accomplishment. It's because, I mean, anybody could go out and win an event or podium at an event, but the Crystal Globe shows consistency,
Yeah.
and especially if you can get the overall one, it shows consistency in both disciplines, which is crazy. And I think like it's very highly respected if you can, you know, be consistent throughout the whole season and end up with a globe.
After that insane season, you come in with, a new status, which is you're one of the big dogs. You don't come into a comp being expected to maybe do finals. It's like, okay, Luca is in the favorites now for every comp, which can be fun, can be stressful,
For
maybe
sure.
both. You start the season off big air in China third, another big air in China second,
Yeah.
another big air in the US third.
Yeah.
No injuries, or at least not that we know.
Yeah.
3 back-to-back podiums. Morale must have been good at that point, which is like, okay, I'm still in the zone. I'm still clutch. I'm still doing my thing. And then you were already qualified for the Olympics a while back, right? You weren't in the same situation as the US guys.
Yeah.
How was that whole qualifying process for New Zealand?
It's pretty straightforward. You basically, for New Zealand criteria, I think you need like 2 top 10s or 2 top 12s maybe. And then
In the season prior?
it's anywhere between the 2025 to the Olympics.
Okay.
So like that's the whole Olympic qualifying period.
So
Um,
for some people, again, like the US, where they need to, they're still stressed a week leading up to the Olympics, you knew early on that you were good.
yeah, I knew the year before, like
That must have been nice.
so nice. It was just a matter of staying healthy.
Exactly, which is one less thing to have in the back of your mind, because if you need to go as hard as possible to qualify, then you're also risking injury.
Yeah.
You you may be getting to the Olympic banged up, which I don't know. Maybe some people were. You had your X Games also. Fuck, there's also that we didn't touch on. X Games again this year, where again, as we said earlier, quickly, another second, another first,
Yeah.
which there's a lot of stuff. Fuck, there's a lot of stuff we could go in the taped pants trend. What are your thoughts on that quickly? The whole, because wind and speed is not a new issue in free skiing, and it seems like it's just this year that taped pants have become a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that. On that day of X Games slope, like we were meant to go in the morning, nobody could clear, so we delayed it. And we went back out, had like an hour of training to try to figure it out and ski through the course. And after my last run, I had just hit the last jump switch and finally cleared with a switch 5. And then we get to the top and we're all just kind of giggling. We're like, yeah, they're not going to run this. And then the guy's like, yeah, so we know it's not great. We're going to try to get a comp done anyways. Like, if you guys want to pull, no problem. Just let us know at the start. And I think Fabian ended up pulling out. And then the rest of us were just like, all right, let's try to do it. And yeah, like it was a matter of of course, the tape pants don't look very good. You look kind of stupid, but it's like, do you want to look cool and not land a run and knuckle the jumps, or do you want to maybe not look as cool and successfully put down a run and have a chance at, a good result?
But you really feel it makes that difference?
I don't really know. I think so. I mean, we all wear such baggy pants these days, and it's like, of course, that's going to pick up more wind and air resistance. So, I was ready to do anything. We're juicing the skis, we're putting wax layers on. I dropped down to, I don't know, a hoodie or whatever. Night before, I dropped to a t-shirt because I couldn't make speed. So I was like, screw it, I'm not dropping a t-shirt because less air resistance. Um, and then, so yeah, we just ended up taping the pants just to, anything that will help. I was like willing to do it. So, I mean, it doesn't look the coolest, but it paid out in the end.
Yeah, and that's crazy how 2 years, same results, but such a different scenario where first year is like perfect conditions, perfect field. It's do the best run you can. Whereas now that one was more survive the conditions,
Yeah,
just make it down the course.
big time.
And again, my highlight being everyone is just trying to make it through the course, and you throw out a right trip 14 out of the shark fin, which is like, holy fuck, okay. You guys are crazy because the conditions are bad. And even in that scenario, you still manage to pull out crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I did the trip like kind of flare first run. When I had done the trip 14 once in training, a few days before, I think it was on the first day actually. And after I did the trip flare, we got back to the top and it was like, this is the last run. They were only doing 2 runs, and I was like, yo, like fuck it, should I do the trip 14? And Heyman was like, well, dude, you had the air for it. So I was like, all right, I'm going balls to the wall, let's go. And just ripped it out, and it worked really well. So
Yeah, it was a weird X Games. Like, I don't remember a time where the snow and everything affected conditions that much.
right.
Women were put on delay, and it seems like you see that in Stubai, comp is canceled, or you would see that in Breck, where every do tour it seemed like the weather was fucking up. But that was a first for X Games. Like, even your big air, you were getting pulled in by coaches,
Yeah.
being in t-shirt, no poles, like as if it was really fuck it, like everything needs to happen just so I can clear the jump.
Yeah.
You were in a snowstorm, and you still managed to do the nicest switch trip 19 Esco ever. Do you feel like that was your best one ever?
Nah, I don't think so.
No.
Nah.
I
I
felt like
kind of slipped off the grab a little bit, and that's what docked me, kind of held me back from getting the win, I think.
maybe you swayed me with your afterbang,
Yeah.
where you stomped it so hard I was like, fucking hell.
Oh yeah, that one was also kind of a weird axis because I kind of like came through a little side flippy to my feet where I usually am a bit more round. So
Dude, I'm rewatching it. You held the grab the whole time, and you stomped it so good. It's so nice. Yeah, and also
yes,
that was an insane showing where, again, going back to the variety, you had Torm doing his nosebud bio, Dylan doing a quad. Like, what was your thoughts on that field that day?
yeah. I mean, again, it could have been anyone on the podium, really. Um, I think Torm got held back a little bit just because the snow was slow, and then he's doing a butter as well, so he couldn't go like as big. Um, where Dylan is like a freaking beast, absolute unit, and can just go to the bottom. Um, but yeah, I mean, all of those tricks are just nuts.
Let's get into. We could talk for 8 hours, but let's get into the big event that just happened.
That's right. Let's do it. Yeah,
Italy, Milano, Cortina, Livigno.
the Big O show. It's pretty surreal.
How was it compared to maybe your expectations of what it would be? The whole thing, the organization, the media.
It's funny you say that because I've been thinking about this a lot, like looking back on it all. Um, like, of course, it was so surreal being there. Like, dreamt of it since I was a little kid. Finally there, representing my country. I had my family out there. I gotta say, having my family out there was one of the best parts of it. They don't usually get to come out to my competitions, so that was so special. I had even like cousins and uncles and aunties and family friends, and That was yeah, so, so cool, but, I mean, it was a bit of a weird Olympics just because we were also separated with our disciplines, like, we were in Livigno with all the freestylers, and then racing was in Cortina, Bormio had cross country, and then all the ice stuff was in Milan, so it was pretty quiet, like, there wasn't, like, a ton going on, and in a way, like, that was really nice because it wasn't super overwhelming or anything, but at the same time, like, my expectations was, like, Olympics, like,
Yeah.
crazy, like, everything going on, how so many people, um, but, I mean, again, just so grateful for that opportunity to go and,
Yeah. You could see that whole, as you said, separation where during the opening ceremony, they have every country going,
yeah.
and then you would see that, okay, the freestylers were just at the bottom of the hill running through a little like 50 feet thing to say hi because they weren't at the actual stadium, they were on hill.
Yeah, that was super weird, like, I've always, watched the Olympic opening ceremonies, and they're huge, and there's lights, and there's fireworks, and all sorts of stuff going on, concerts, and then we ended up just standing in line behind all the other countries for, like, 2 hours, and we walked finally, it's our turn, walk through the golden hoop and walk 50 feet and wave wave to the cameras, and then get on a bus and go home.
Yeah, I was thinking like the way they showed it on TV looked good,
Yeah,
but if you're putting yourself in your shoes, fuck, that must have been a disappointment.
it definitely was. I was pretty underwhelmed by that, but it was all good.
Yeah, that's not the reason you were there. But
Exactly.
did you end up going to the closing one with?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was you
Yeah,
got the real thing.
went down to Verona. Got to be the flag bearer for New Zealand, and then,
Nice.
yeah, I got to see the whole show, which was sweet.
Yeah, I thought that was nice. Also, I saw that your country had Ben Barkley as flag bearer for the opening one, which is nice because I don't know how big you or Ben are over there, but just the fact of having a slope style skier as that seems so sick. Where seems like in other countries it's always different sport. It doesn't seem like slope style would be the ones like
Yeah.
shining.
Well, that was the thing. We had, 1 racer,
Mm,
1 ski racer, and then the rest of our team were slopestyle and freestyle ski.
okay, yeah, fuck yeah,
So it's pretty cool. We didn't have any curlers or cross country or anything like that, so we're all just freestylers.
that's sick. And then, what were your thoughts on the slope course? Because as we said, slope style course varies a lot
Yeah,
from every event. As a watcher only, as a fan of the sport, it seemed a bit of a letdown just because Sochi was incredible. Pyeongchang looked incredible. Beijing, maybe not as much as if you were, but still seemed like, a
yeah,
step above other comps. And then that one
that's
was like, oh shit, okay, is that it?
yeah. That was my thoughts exactly, like, I envisioned Pyeongchang, Sochi style jumps, just freaking massive booters and
Yeah.
crazy rails, and then we got there and I was like, it's a pretty small jump.
Because it feels like if you guys, the 2026 squad, would be handed the Sochi jumps, holy fuck,
Yeah, it would have been mental.
man. Like it was a time where, I remember the shots of like Henrik and Sochi doing nose butt triple, and it seems like he's going fucking 150 feet down.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, you give that to Luca in 2026, what would have happened?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, anyways.
It was funny. We rolled up first day. We did like it was like an inspection day, and they had a couple of the forerunners like hitting the course, and we got to like watch them hit it. And we're all standing, all standing on the first jump, and guy comes off and bang, just
Uh,
exit. We're all like, oh no. So that was pretty funny. I mean, to be fair, the rails were pretty sick, pretty heavy.
yeah,
Um, Nobody was really a fan of they were calling it two pad 2A, the second rail feature.
that was baby rails.
Super strange. Like, just kind really killed the flow a bit.
You guys made it look good. You're
Yeah,
so
I'm glad.
good, so creative that you ended up making runs that look good. But I remember when we were seeing teases or maybe stories from judges or athletes, and I was like, what is that?
Right?
Like, this is the Olympics, this is slopestyle, and we're having like a 10 feet rainbow rail in the ground. What is that?
The first pad. had a basic, very average down rail, then a gnarly DFD that was like kind of down, up, down,
Yeah.
and then this 1.5 foot long pole jam.
That no one hit.
And I was like, why did you put that there?
Yeah.
And it just like went to no landing. I was like, what? What was the plan there?
And it's kind of a bummer because what's nice in slopestyle is where you have, let's say, 3 rail, but that can be approached in certain ways. So then you don't have just 3 options. You have like 9 options because it multiplies in a sense.
Yeah.
And then for slope, everyone was hitting the down flat down as a disaster, or almost, because some people were hitting the down, but then you wouldn't get scored well because it was just a down rail.
Yeah.
And then you could do the DFD as a down, up, down, but it seems so bad that, shout out to the ones who did it and still tried, like A Hall or Connor. But if I was skiing, I wouldn't have done it. It seemed like,
it was so gnarly. So yeah, they kind of made that difficult for the first pad because then everyone ended up doing the disaster.
Yeah.
It's hard to stand out in there. But
it was nice in another way to see, okay, if you guys are all, because sometimes someone will do a 6 on disaster, whereas someone will do a transfer on another rail. So then it's, how do you compare the two? And that was one of the rare times where, okay, everyone is on the same feature. And then you would see you did right 6 on front 2. And then you had Jesper doing switch over flip. And then you had really clear comparison of, okay, everyone on the same feature, which, man, you guys went so hard. Again, and we said this, the slope course wasn't as good as you thought, but you guys are insane. What was your favorite trick on that rail that you saw?
It's got to be the overflip. Actually, Henny almost did the sickest trick.
What was it?
So unfortunately, Henrik on the last day of training got knocked out on the last run on that rail, but he was going for like a rodeo 4.
Yeah.
And it was so cool.
That was his staple trick for a bit in some comps where he would like land that every fucking run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like lip rodeo 450 on. Yeah.
That was definitely probably the sickest trick, aside from Jesper's overflip on, of course.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Like overflip back to switch. It was like, what?
Yeah. And as you were saying, another, the rails were a bit of a disappointment, and then the jumps were too small. Not only too small, not big enough for your crazy trick, but the speed seemed like an issue.
Yeah. I mean, real quick, going back to the rails, it was strange just because it was like a pretty average feature to like a really risky feature. And there was like no medium,
Which one do you mean?
Like the up, flat, down.
Yeah.
The down part was so long. And like for you to consistently like get a trick all the way through that rail was so hard. And then on the other side, it was like a flat down tube, or, people were hitting the tube from the side. And then the next pad you had that big rainbow to down was so hard. It was so cool, but really hard. And then you had a boring like flat tube. And then the cannon was all right, but it was just small and flat and not like crazy.
Yeah. I liked what you did. I like the flavor in it. Switch on, front cork 6, screaming semen. How do you call it when you grab the screaming semen? Is there a name for that?
Genie.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, so that was a funny one because I was originally working switch 4 into the rainbow to down.
Switch tails 4?
Yeah, or just kind of like switch 4 over the top of it.
Yeah.
I was doing it to switch, or I was doing front 2, or I got the P4 once, which was sick.
Switch 4 P4?
Yeah.
Oof.
But so I was working that, but it was like, again, such a difficult rail to be consistent on. And so for qualies, we just were like, all right, we're going to play it safe. Like it wasn't working too well through training. So my backup was to do the switch in front cork 6 screaming Genie. I only did it for the first time in my first run. And it scored like, I don't know, in the 9s or something. And we're like, holy crap. So we ended up just sticking with that plan through finals because everyone loved it. But yeah, that's how I ended up doing that trick. But yeah, the jumps weren't huge. And it was like the first one was the second biggest, the second one was the biggest, then the third one was the smallest. So it was pretty interesting. But yeah, it was just interesting because everyone, usually you'd go, 14, 16, 18. But then you had people going like 18, 16, 14.
Yeah.
and it was just like trying to figure out like change your run to fit the size of the jumps.
And maybe the cannon rail helped you like keep your speed going
Yeah,
into it.
that was another good call, was to just, yeah, the cannon rail, you could carry so much more speed.
So if we go through it, right six on disaster front two,
Yeah,
switch right two to forward,
yeah,
left foot front swap to front swap back four.
yeah.
Which again, when you pulled that off, I was on your third run. I was like, oh, that's clutch because it's a hard trick. You're on your third run. You hadn't landed a good run yet.
Yeah.
And it's, hard trick with a hard rail like that. When you get it, it's like, it must feel good in the moment.
Oh, big time.
Then switch on front cork six genie, switch left dub 18 Japan, switch right trip 16 Cindy, and then right dub 14 bring back to 12 Cindy.
Yeah.
Insane.
Not bad.
We would have an hour to talk about the other runs and how people were all killing it, but that was insane. When you landed it, I thought you won.
Yeah.
I was like judging it for fun, and again, being alone in my couch is not the same as being with a whole panel. There's a lot to be said for that, but personally, I was like, "Fuck, he's winning."
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And again, it's not a diss on the judges. They did a great job. It's more
Yeah.
to say like I think there was a lot of people that didn't let their best run, so I think the podium was pretty clear for everyone that okay, that's the podium.
Yeah.
But between all of you three, it's like fuck. I feel it could have gone anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, big time.
Yeah. What was your feeling? Because I just rewatched it before the episode. You can see all the emotions. Like you're so stoked to have landed your run. You pulled it out on your third run. You saved kind of the bummer of going to the Olympics and not landing what you want to land. You get your run, and then the score comes in, and there's the smile that is like, "Am I happy? Am I bummed? Like, what's going
Yeah.
on?"
Well, it was a pretty crazy one.
And then it turns to your brother, and you can lip read like that. He's like, "What the fuck?"
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, at the top, I mean, I just crashed both my runs and I had one more run to do it. And, I was freaking out. I was like stressed out. And then um, a couple of nights before, they had the snowboard big air, and my buddy Lion, who rides for New Zealand, he did an interview after, and he's like, on that last jump, like I was standing up the top and I was like, whatever happens, like this is cool. This is what I dreamed of. I'm standing at the top of a big air in the Olympic finals. My family's down below. Everyone's backing me. Like this in itself is such a crazy accomplishment. And on that third run for me, I kind of channeled a bit of that, and I was like, I've done so much to get here, and this is my dream right now that I'm living. And I'm like, this is so special to be at the top in the finals at the Olympics. And I was standing in the start gate, and I usually like we have a dap up, me and my coach. And instead of doing that, I just gave him a big hug, and I put a little smile on my face. I was like, all right, let's just go and put her down. Like whatever happens, happens. This is cool. And I think that kind of gave me that extra boost to get through, man. And it was crazy. I mean, yeah, definitely. I didn't really watch too much of the other runs after my first run because, I was just trying to focus myself up. So I didn't really know what was going on.
And anyways, you know that this is it. There's no, as we were saying, there's no strategy to qualify for something else. This is now. So you're going for gold, or you're going for your best runs. And at that point, you know that the run you're doing is good enough. It's just a matter of doing it well.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, I finally landed the switch trip 16, which was nowhere near my best, but I had landed it and I was like, oh my God, like last jump, I need to do this 14 pullback, which I'd only done like a couple of times. And I was like, do I bail? Do I just do a 9? And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm here to go all out. Let's do it. And then, yeah, again, it wasn't my best one, but I put it down to my feet and I was like, just crazy relief of finally putting that full run together.
Yeah.
Like I've been wanting to put those tricks like in a run for so long. And I mean, I got to the bottom and yeah, it was all hype, but I was kind of like in this calm zone of I'm proud. I'm stoked. I put down the run I came here to do. I mean, yeah, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't beautiful, but I did the run, and
I
that
thought it
was
was beautiful.
thank you.
Like sure, you could have done it better, but I feel like that's something. There weren't any major mistakes. Like, sure,
Yeah,
if you had like flailed something, then I would say sure, like yeah, you fell a bit. But man, that was a great run.
thank you.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, I mean, I was looking at the screen and they were taking their time, and I honestly didn't know what to expect. I didn't know
Hmm.
if I was going to go into fourth or into first or into, I don't know what was going to happen because I hadn't really seen many of the other runs.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, I got put into third, and yeah, that expression on my face was like, "Holy crap!" Like that's so cool. But I was like, "There's still like 8 of the best in the world behind me to still go that anyone could take it." I was like, "I'm not sitting in a very comfortable position," so I was like, trying not to get too hyped about it because I was like, "It's there's easily a chance I could get bumped right now."
Just for again, we can go into that rabbit hole for a while, but I'll just do that parenthesis. Being a nerd for that and being in judging myself, I looked at the breakdown because with SBS you have the breakdown. What did what did you score on each feature, and then what was your composition score, which is the judges looking at the whole run, looking at your variety and the execution mistakes, or overall impression. And basically, if you compare to the two guys on the podium for sections, you were the best. You won.
Oh,
And then for have you looked at that or no?
I have
Okay, yeah. And then for the composition, that's where it hindered you.
got me on the composition.
Yeah, which fair enough. Like there is a reasoning. The judges are not dumb. There is a reasoning for that. But I was like, fuck, that's harsh.
That's pretty freaking rewarding because technically I had the best run,
You mean if you look at features one after
yeah,
the other? Yeah, yeah,
the highest.
yeah.
And then it was just the overall impression side of things.
Which is hard because then if I have to give some judging insight, then I feel like it's really like the two Cindy grabs,
Yeah,
which
definitely.
to me, and I'm sure if we would talk with Jason, he would argue a way that we would be like, sure, yeah, makes sense. My first gut feeling was like, fuck, I feel like going switch trip kind of cancels it out because you're still doing something insane, and then your bring back is a never been done that is seemingly insanely hard. So
Yeah,
fuck, how much does that cancels it out?
for sure.
But anyway, we that those stuff we can debate for hours, but still that run to me, speed was hard and you still manage an insane run. The dub bring back that I'm not into your close circle, so I saw that I was like, oh shit, okay, fuck, we're doing that now.
Yeah, I've been holding that one back for a while, and that's one that I definitely wanted to talk about because I was throughout the big air season before the Olympics.
Yeah.
I didn't want to pull it out for one. I wanted it to still be a surprise, and then two, I didn't know how it was going to score.
Mm.
And so in Beijing, on my third and final run, I wanted to do it, and then I I slipped on takeoff and did a crazy thing. But and then same in Steamboat, I was prepped, I was ready. I'd done all 3 tricks in finals training, was ready to pull it out, and then blew my first jump, so had lost that chance to do it again. And then it was like finally Olympics, I had to do it, and yeah, managed to get it done. But I'll talk more about that when we go to Big Air.
Yeah, it's a to me it would seem logical that it would score because if it's been established in past 3 years that the bring back 9 scores well, then why wouldn't it bring back 12?
Exactly, and that was my logic. It was like, what's the next step up from the 9?
Yeah. And then I get that there's a big duck with the Cindy's because of the nature that it's really a crutch just for accomplishing certain tricks.
Yeah,
But then it's all debatable. If you hold a grab and you hold it well, you can't be too harsh on it. But
yeah,
it's I feel like it has become really a cultural thing as to like kind of incentivize people not to go in that direction.
yeah.
Curious to do a little parenthesis when you do your athlete talk. What's the athlete thoughts of the general field on Cindy's?
I don't really know. It's just started to become a ruckus since the Olympics.
Mm,
I mean, it's still a safety grab.
you don't
It
see it as
doesn't.
something different?
No,
No.
I mean, it's like if you do a safety grab with your legs spread apart versus if you do a safety grabs with your legs perfectly together. It's like, yeah, of course, the safety grab with the legs perfectly together and feet to the side is going to look and score better than a wide leg safety grab.
Yeah.
but like it's still a safety. And I mean, we're not intentionally trying to grab Cindy. You know, the it happened on my Switch 16 because I don't know, just rushed the takeoff and it was bad, and I was just trying to hold on. And same with that 14 pullback. Like I just freaking sent it because I had running through my mind. Like I didn't have a perfect takeoff. I didn't have timing. I didn't know the speed, so it wasn't like a nice all right set under the foot safety, nice
Mhm.
pullback.
I think that's where it comes from. The fact that it's judged harshly is that knowing what you just said, that no one does it intentionally. So therefore, if you're doing it, you did kind of a mistake and you kind of
Yeah,
missed your grab in some relative sense.
for sure.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. Everyone's been going crazy a little bit over the Cindy grabs. They're like, Cindy's not a grab. Like you should
No, no, it is a grab. Yeah.
use whatever. But it's like, I mean, technically, yeah, it's not a safety grab. So I don't know what the problem is with calling it a Cindy.
I don't see any.
Yeah,
It's a Tindy safety. It's a
yeah,
Cindy. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's something that's really become a thing recently in the recent years because when learning, let's say a dub 14 to wrap your second seven, a lot of people have starting, when you wrap your hand kind of follows through that way. So it's become more something we see, whereas before you wouldn't really see it. I've seen
sure,
Henrik posting some old clip of McD doing some Cindy's a bit, kind of passing a message there that, it's all about style and not the grab necessarily.
for sure.
Um, but anyways, all that to say, insane slope comp, insane run. And at the end of the day, feel like it may be easier to say on the outside, but it feels like just getting a medal in that field is like there's no difference between a bronze or a silver. It's like
Exactly.
being in that top three for that level is insane.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, exactly. That's my thoughts too. It's like no matter what color it is, like I still now have an Olympic medal, and that's pretty special, and that's all I've ever wanted. So
Yeah.
grateful.
So after that slope comp, no disappointment or hard feelings, just positive.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
definitely until like afterwards when, you get the social media being like, "Oh, you got robbed," and everyone's like, "Oh, you should have had the gold," and then it starts getting to your head a little bit and being like, "Damn, like I could have had the gold." But again, I need to just step back and be like, "It's pretty freaking cool what I accomplished in itself." So,
Hmm. And it is the nature of this is not racing where there's a clear winner. Like there's an argument for Berg being first. There's an argument for A Hall being first. There's
yeah.
You guys are so close. You all three had little mistakes on one hit, and it was a matter of it's minute details.
Yeah, big
Yeah,
time.
and then big air a week after. How was that on the the weird ass jump with a half a scaffold and half a snow blown landing?
Yeah, it was a crazy one, but, no, it was cool. The jump wasn't huge again, as expected. It was a lot better for us than it was the snowboarders because beforehand, we're like, already we know the snowboarders are saying the jump's flat and small, so can you guys please, like, put more kick on it and make it a little bigger for us skiers because we hate a flat takeoff. But the jump was actually in the end, it was a nice jump. It was pretty good.
Did they change it or?
Yeah, yeah. I think they just like bellied it out a little more, gave it a bit more sweep for us. Yeah, Qualies was crazy. Honestly, that was a wild comp. Like we didn't know what to expect. I knew everyone was working on stuff that we hadn't seen before, and all sorts of new tricks were going to be pulled out. But
It feels like people were going harder than in any qualies I have seen before.
yeah, that Qualies was harder than any big air finals we've ever seen before. So it was cool. It was awesome. It was great to be a part of it. But yeah, I was honestly not a huge fan of the judging during big air qualies.
Why?
There were a lot of reasons. um, what they were rewarding creativity wise was very different to usual.
Okay.
Like, first of all, well, I want to talk about my trick, the 14 pullback,
Yeah.
because I'd been keeping that one a secret for a long time. I hadn't posted, hadn't showed it, hadn't really done it much. Um, that's the hardest trick I've ever worked on.
Mm.
It's the most time and effort I've ever put into a trick. And finally got to bring it out, and like, yeah, it wasn't perfect, but still they just didn't really mess with it that much.
Yeah. Do you remember how much it scored?
84,
Yeah.
I want to say. And we talked to them after, and they're like, yeah, like it was sick. He probably, left maybe 4 or 5 points on the table, but then that still would have been only like a 91
Mm-hmm.
if I executed it perfect.
Yeah.
And then we had Nils Reiner,
Yeah.
14, bring back to 12. Never been done. Absolutely slammed. Got like 78 or something. And they were like, yeah, execution, like did a bit of a knee grab, little open up, but it's like, yeah, but he just did a trip 14 pullback. Like we haven't seen that.
Yeah.
It's different.
It's the hard, and that's endlessly through any level of comps. It's how much do you reward someone doing something gnarly but not perfect versus something perfect but not as gnarly.
Yeah.
Which
And
I totally understand your frustration. And I thought as well your bring back would be scored higher, as we said, because established that the bring back 9 is scored well, then, and I understand that the more you spin, the more bringing it back must be fucking hard.
yeah. But then I think that's the other thing is like the judges didn't see the process I went through to do that trick.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like they do not know how many days and failed attempts and crashes and reps of just eating shit on that trick
Yeah.
that I went through to get it done. Like anyone can learn how to do a trip 19. Anyone can watch someone else do a trip 19, break it down, figure it out, go to the airbag, learn it. But that 14 bring back, nobody had done it. So it was like breaking everything down, learning a completely new axis and rotation to stop, to do a full 14, stop your momentum and pretzel it back to 12.
Yeah.
And it was like the biggest battle I've ever had with a trick. And I'm so proud of that trick, man. Like so proud. And I was hoping it would, do better.
Yeah.
But
So did that mess with you in terms of disappointment first, frustration, but also like fuck reassessing the final trick?
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, luckily I had a backup plan because I knew that was a
Possibility.
possibility.
Yeah.
But I landed the switch trip 18 Esco, got a nice score for it. Was clearly going to be in finals, and then I'm at the bottom. I'm like, oh, whoop-de-doo. They want to see me do another trip 19 safety, like the same trick I've been doing for.
No. They want to see the blunt.
I know,
I'm
but
kidding. I'm kidding.
I knew like I was like, I know I'm going to go and do a trip 19 safety. But like, I mean, it's a great trick. It is. But personally, I don't like doing it. Like I know I could do something cooler, something better, something different.
Mm.
But I knew that the trip 19 safety will get rewarded because it has been the past like whatever amount of comps. And then sure enough, go and do it. Don't even execute it very well, and still like 93 or something. I was like, oh, cool. So you guys want to see me do another trip 19 safety rather than something completely new and unique. But then on the other hand, like Mate came in and did the hand drag trip 16 safety, and they gave that like a 96.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you still want to reward creativity, but now you're being really picky about which ones you want to reward.
I get how it's frustrating on your end. It's and to me, again, I don't wish I was a judge there, because man, the job is hard.
Big time.
On the again, not as a judge, on a personal end, I saw the end drag and not sure I would have rewarded as much, because, and again, it must be fucking hard to do that.
Sure.
Not at this on the trick, but like it felt like a pretty shy hand drag.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing that we broke down a bit with the judges in qualies is his hand touched, but it came up before the end of the jump. So he didn't like drag through the lip. So it was more just like a little hand slap and then a trip 16 safety. And then you also got to think like the nose butter trip 16s were getting scored super high and super well. And then
that's one thing that surprised me. I was like, oh shit, because it's hard, because fuck, that trick is old in a sense, because Henrik has done it 13 years ago. But also a nose butt trip is still fucking tech.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Henrik did that 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's still beating most of the other tricks that haven't been done.
Yeah. Well, beating certain tricks, I guess it will always because it's still gnarly in tech. But you're right. Compared to something that's never been done,
Yeah.
there's an
And
argument to be made.
I was bummed for A Hall too, because A Hall came out and did the trick that I did, but with lead mute, and I had no idea he had that. Nobody did, and he gave me so much props for doing the 14 pullback, like, which made me feel really good. Uh, and then we talked to the U.S. team coaches after, and apparently he had also been on that same grind as me all summer, just working that one trick because it's so hard.
And you both didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he knew I was doing it, and I definitely didn't know he was doing it.
That's sick.
But I was thinking about that. I was like, if one person is working on this trick right now, it's definitely Ahal.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no one else out there that's going to be working on this right now. And then sure enough, he pulled it out, which was sick. But again, he didn't have the cleanest landing, but he got, scored even under me. He got like an 83 or something with the lead mute. And I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm. And that's the hard thing, which is maybe there will be an athlete discussion next fall, and that will be, evaluated differently with your feedback. But then sometimes you're a victim of that on the moment, where once that talk is made in a few months, then it's too late. Your comp is done. Like, for whatever it's worth, big respect. And as you were saying, hey, I'll give it to you. And I think the whole community, because that's fucking gnarly. And that's always, maybe you don't get the result, but you definitely get the respect of the people for trying stuff.
For sure. And I'm really proud of myself for, taking that path instead of working on doing a 21 or 23,
27,
27, whatever it might be. I was proud I put all my efforts into that 14 pullback, because in the end it still got me a bronze medal. So that was cool. But yeah, I was really hoping that would score well, and that's kind of could be like a new future for big air skiing, is less of the triples and more of the pullbacks and stuff like that. So but that's how it goes. You got to trial and error and judge sport. Maybe people will like it now that there's more understanding around the trick. And
and then for finals, it was a bit of a change up in your strategy, where you did your switch trip 18 ESCO, as you said, and then trip 19 safety. You fell on your first one, and then on your second one, you kind of had a so-so landing.
No, I did the switch trip 19 ESCO.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my bad.
And then I was doing the trip 19 forward trip 19 ESCO.
Yeah.
So that was the new one. I had just learned that in training at the Olympics. And then, of course, went way too big on the first one and blew up. And then, I was off from the start. I knew coming in, like, the snow was piling in on the in run. And then as soon as you got to the transition, they were like blowing it with like a leaf blower. So then it was like slow, and then it was like fast, and then you like hit the jump and it was like kind of slow again. So I was kind of just pretty off on that last run, to be fair. But I mean, even if I landed that trip 19 ESCO clean, I still don't think I would have touched the podium. So
I don't think so.
So,
and again, not against your trick, just more that the level was insane.
Yeah. And I mean, and I was content with that at the bottom. I was like, I mean, I didn't land, but it feels a little better knowing that, like, even if I did land, I probably wouldn't have touched the podium. So that was all right.
Feels like, I rewatched it before the episode. It feels like your trip 19 ESCO was kind of making you spin more than you're used to.
Yeah.
That position, as it's almost as if it's a position to go trip it 21.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I kind of like had that thought afterwards. I was like, shit, man, that wants to roll over to 21. So maybe that's a, future trick, but
yeah. And as a viewer, my biggest takeaway was how people were going big. One of how, on one side of how you were all going for it, like, fuck it, the jump is too small, we'll land at the bottom.
Yeah.
But also at the same time of like, fuck, can they make bigger jumps?
Right.
You guys were landing in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I've never seen as much Gucci Plateau landings back to back ever.
Right. Everyone was all in for that.
Yeah. Aside from you, what was your thoughts on the rest of the field, on the podium, on the tricks we saw?
I don't know, man. I mean, I gotta give mad props to Torm.
Yeah.
On the day he won, and that's fair and square. His stuff was tech, his stuff was sick. Um, and yeah, he skied so great. So mad props to him. At the same time though, like it's just hard because, you know, he's doing a creative trick and I'm doing a creative trick, and it's like his one got rewarded, so of course I'm going to be bummed that his side of creativity got rewarded and not my side. But the only thing I would say is with those tricks that he did is that he's done them off a knuckle. So it's like if you can do that off a knuckle, it's like hard to compare to like a trip 21 and a switch trip 21 from Mac who
Mm.
can't do that off a knuckle,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
And his nosebud 21 at the end.
Yeah. The other thing was I definitely feel his nose butter bio well deserved, well rewarded, so sick.
Yeah.
But then when he did the tail butter on the last run and went to 16, um like we've seen him do those tricks before, and you know, they haven't been rewarded like that crazy, and then for that to get a 98 after it already been we've already seen him do it, and it hasn't been rewarded in the past, but then it got rewarded on the night.
Do you think it was like the cleanliness at that point, or like cleanliness slash amplitude?
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, it was beautiful.
Because it feels like to me the other times I've seen him, he would always go small
Yeah.
with
But
the
then I
amplitude.
mean, how many points can you give for going a little bigger, you know? And then the other one was like the nose butter dub bio, like I mean, he did that at X Games and it didn't score as high as like my Switch 19 or Max Switch 21, and it did this time round, you know? So, I mean, I don't want to be like hating or disrespecting or anything, but that's just like my thought process with it all. But like on the night, absolutely slayed it, killed it, skied perfectly, you know?
Yeah. And again, as we were saying on reassessing maybe your bring back, I haven't talked to them, so I'm just inventing that. But maybe
Yeah,
that's the same thought they had after X Games, being like, "Fuck, maybe it should have been a bit higher," and then they reassess.
yeah, maybe. And I'd love for that to happen, but we'll
But
see.
so what I'm hearing from you with the knuckle hug thing is you're gonna do knuckle hug next year and do a dub bring back 12 on the knuckle.
Maybe,
That would be sick.
right?
So yeah, big big success with slopestyle, medal, goal accomplished, but then maybe a bit of a bummer on big air.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard for me to look back on because I'm like, you know, did I prepare right for that comp? Like, could I have done better? Like, of course, I wanted to lace the Trip 19 Esco and then go to Switch Trip 21 Esco,
Mm.
but you know that's how it goes, and we didn't have the best conditions out there.
Yeah, it
Um,
was a snowstorm.
yeah,
I think you prepared as good as you can. You had your trick prepared that again, the sport being what it is, you don't know how good it's going to score, and again, that's out of your control. So, got
for
to
sure,
let go on that. And then you also don't know that Torm is going to do what he does and that Mac,
exactly.
there's a lot of unknowns where fuck, you can't there's a lot of things out of your control.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm proud. I mean, I think I just had all that expectation from all the you know, big air podiums, slope, or X Games and Fist to be the one to do well there, and just didn't execute it on the night. But I mean, that's how it goes. It's all right.
Yeah. Of letting yourself down or letting people down?
Yeah, just kind of expectation of others. I mean, I definitely feel like I let myself down a little bit because I wanted to win. I want to get an Olympic medal. Um, and then of course, like the thought of everyone expecting me to do well just because of the history the past couple of years of me in big airs. Um, but I mean, nobody was bummed, so
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I guess after that must have been a good reset of you had your big intensity, the two comps, one more fruitful, the other one a bit of a bummer, and then changing your mindset and just cheering on for your bro to end it off.
Yeah, that was sick.
How was that? Because your brother was in competing for half pipe and you made finals, and I think that was his big goal, like making it into that top finalist panel.
Absolutely. I mean, like last Olympics, I mean, he got to go, but unfortunately got pretty wiped out and didn't make the finals. And that's been bugging him for years. And so for him to get back up and accomplish that goal was so special, and it was nice to be there for him and our family, and like that was a pretty special moment for our family. Um, but also it was just nice to like embrace the Olympics as more of a spectator,
Mm,
because the whole time, like when you're not training or competing, you're like back chilling and recovering and physio and gym and stuff like that. So it was nice to just like be there as a spectator and enjoy the hype of the Olympics and hype up everyone else.
yeah.
It was fun.
And how much of because we see you guys together, you guys make edits together. Ben is always at the bottom cheering you on. We see X Games or all other comps, he's there with you. How
Yeah.
much of a coaching, not coaching, but how much of like coaching do you guys do between one another? Do you just have the bro situationship, or are you like okay, I don't know, like because you have your New Zealand coaches, right? But then how much coaching happens between the both of you?
Honestly, lots. Like, yeah, Benny's my bro, but he's also, yeah, there for me every step of the way. And that was the nice thing about also, going half pipe, me going slopestyle is like I can take my lessons and help him through it, and he can take his lessons help me through it. And like we each have individual experiences that we can feed off each other with.
Hmm.
And, it's been really cool to be able to do that instead of being head to head the whole time. So it's all love and it's all support. And so yeah, like anytime I'm training, like I'll be at a World Cup in Switzerland, he'll be back in the States, and he'll call me up, yo, how'd training go? Send me some clips. What are you thinking here? I'll be like, yeah, what do you think about this? Like, should I do, this trick here or should I switch it? He'll be like, yeah, I don't know, like I think this. And it's cool. And it's like the same goes for him. He's working his pipe run and he'll be sending me clips, and I'll be like, all right, yeah, this one, I mean, it was good, you did it, but dude, you gotta hold that grab a little longer. He's like, yeah, no, I agree. And it's like it's a really nice, like, to have him in my corner and just kind of feed off of him and him feed off of me and kind of inspire and help each other through our individual journeys.
Yeah, and it's feels like there's some people that you don't want to hear it from. That if they tell you, it'll be like, "Yo, what's your problem?"
Yeah,
But then there's other people where you're like, "Yeah, you're right. I should have held that grab longer," or
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes you need someone that's close to you to give you a straight up answer. You can get everyone like, oh no, it was sick, bro, it was sick. And then you got someone that's like, nah, dude, that wasn't sick. Come on, you can do it better.
Hmm.
Like, just be straight up and honest with you. Sometimes that's good, and it's nice because he's my brother. So, you know, we, we have our fights, we have our arguments, and whatever. But at the end of the day, we're still best friends and we're still brothers. And it's nice to have that like honest opinion there when you need it.
Yeah, it's harsher, but there's love behind it.
For sure, exactly. But like if it's like one of your competitors being like, "Nah, dude, that wasn't sick," it's like, the hell, man, like. Why are you dogging on me? Whatever, but because you don't know that there's love behind it. But yeah,
Yeah. Is there anything we didn't touch on that you want to talk, or we pretty much covered it all?
yeah, we pretty much covered it all. I mean, just want to say, if anyone is, to whoever's listening, like, uh, the amount of people I'm so grateful for that I get to live this life. I got Snow Sports New Zealand helping me all along the way. I got all my sponsors, financially backing me and supporting me. And then I got Cadrona, always there for us. And then the amount of families and friends and people from New Zealand and just anyone that's tuning in, and like it's crazy. Like I'm so grateful because so many people have helped me live my dream, and I'm one lucky kid to be a 22-year-old who gets to travel the world and ski. Like I know a lot of people are working jobs, sitting behind a desk, and I'm out here getting paid to go and live my absolute dream and get so many crazy experiences and opportunities. So yeah, I'm just want to say how grateful I am for everyone who's touched my life and helped me along this journey.
Yeah, man. Big ups on that, because that's well said, and I feel like that's a perspective that really few people have. Sometimes we're in our bubble and we forget about it, but
For
most
sure.
people have a 9 to 5 that is not, the most exciting, and getting to live the life you live is the dream.
It's special, man. It's crazy.
Sure, there's disappointment sometimes, like we just said with Big Air, but also overall, you're living the dream.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah. So what's next for you this spring? We said you're off comps.
Yeah.
What's the plan? Is there a plan, or it's just having fun?
Yeah, a little bit of a plan, a little bit of just going with the flow. I'm gonna make my way out to Utah, I think, at some point. Love skiing Park City, so I want to go spend some more time out there. And then there's this cool free ride event I got invited to called the Silver Belt in Sugar Bowl, California. So that could be pretty sweet. Got an invite back to the Nines again, which is in Japan. So I'm gonna head out to that. Had such a great time last time, so hopefully run it back again. Maybe do some more crazy stuff. We'll see. And then going back to the super unknown as a pro athlete, not a unknown guy. But so yeah, stoked for that. And then every year I go out to Mammoth for May,
Yeah.
for spring skiing with the homies, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Nice. So no comps, but life is still busy.
Exactly.
But that's a whole lot of fun without pressure, I guess.
Exactly.
Or are you someone that puts pressure on yourself in comps, or what's your
Oh, yeah.
usual mental state during comps?
I'm definitely pretty harsh on myself, but I think that's what makes me who I am and fuels my passion. But I used to beat myself up a lot after, if I crash and fail, but I'm starting to learn like to pick myself up a little faster and not be so hard on myself and be grateful for what I have done,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But in the moment, it's hard when you want it so bad and you don't get it. It's like, it's hard not to be hard on yourself. But at the same time, I think that's what makes me who I am. Like, gives me that motivation and that fire.
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah. Well, thanks for a lot for coming on, Luca.
No problem, dude. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Congrats on all the accomplishment. Congrats on the run. Stay healthy.
Yes, sir.
Don't do too many quads. And yeah, man, stoked to see what you come up with filming and with all the events you have.
Thank you. Me too.
Cheers.
I'm excited for the future.
Cheers.
Thanks, boss.
So this is it for episode 51 with Luca Harrington. I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to the sponsors once again, Axis Board Shop and Dickhan's Restaurant. And shout out to the patrons on Patreon. Peace.